OTB AM.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
Really busy show for you this morning here on OTB AM. Myself and Owen Sheahan with you all the way through until 10 o'clock. If you want to get in touch, 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. Coming up, the Tipperary star Aishling Moloney on a club fixture snafu in Tip. Graham Hunter sets the table for the new La Liga season. John Duggan's going to preview the Irish Open, which is getting underway amidst not that much fanfare tomorrow. And we'll also chat with Ireland's Louise Quinn and MMA star Kiefer Crosbie. All of that coming up between now and 10 o'clock. First, though, here's Jack Byrne speaking with Joe Malloy about AC Milan seeing Pogba as a 15-year-old and much more on last night's football show. Enjoy.
Now then, you're welcome back. Always good to say Jack Byrne is with us of Shamrock Rovers and the Republic of Ireland. Jack, how you doing? How's things?
How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, very well. I was just thinking, I was checking with the lads. The last time I spoke to you, you were in studio. Myself and Damien Delaney were here. That was October last year. It's been some year.
It has, yeah. It's been some year. Probably a year I never expected. And look, I remember coming in to the studio after the Ireland game, and you know, obviously was buzzing at the time, and still look back now, great memories.
So one of the reasons we're talking to you is that you've linked up with Coca-Cola HBC. They've launched a special youth empowered programme, and this is designed to support young people disproportionately affected by COVID-19. One of the things it does, it provides 18 to 30-year-olds with free and unlimited access to a range of online resources, includes insights from guest speakers like yourself. And for more information, people can check out coca-cola-hellenic.com or #youth-empowered. So what kind of things are you talking about?
Yeah, it's really good. It's just, you know, focusing on, you know, obviously the youth empowered programme, and, you know, giving young kids an opportunity to if they are struggling, and it's a good programme that they can go online and they can go and check it out, and hopefully it helps a lot of people.
Do you give examples from your own career?
Yeah, I do. I speak about, you know, times when I haven't always been doing so well, and you know, the resilience you need to you know, play a professional sport. Talk about, you know, going away from home at a young age, and you know how I dealt with that. And look, hopefully if we can reach, you know, even one or two people, and it can help them, then it's definitely worthwhile. What
was the low point, or what was the toughest part in your career thus far, Jack?
It was probably, you know, making the decision to come home, and you know, having to deal with people saying, you know, he's throwing it away, and you know, he's not good enough to play in England. He doesn't have the mentality, and you know, people are always looking for a stick to hit you with, and you know, it was really difficult around that time. But you know, I had to show a lot of character to really bounce back from that situation, because you know, there were certain times when it did get on top of me, and you know, I felt like, do I even want to play this game? But you know, when I got home, and you know, I surrounded myself with good people, good family, you know, it gave me a chance to really kick on again and focus on what was important.
Did you feel when you came home to Dublin that you were chucking in the towel a bit, or you were throwing it away, or you were giving up a touch? Like, did you lack motivation at that stage? Were you ready to kind of ditch the towel and look, we'll see what happens with Rovers, but I'm not sure my heart's in this anymore? That's where you were.
Do you know what? I was and I wasn't. I was in a place where, you know, I knew over there, if I was bouncing around from club to club and in League One and trying to nick a move for 16 months or you know, 2-year deals, it wasn't going to work out for me at the time. So, you know, I needed to come home. And when I spoke to the manager here, I never really got that feeling that I was trying to towel in. I seen it as if, you know, somebody who believed in me, and someone who really wanted to, you know, give me a chance to show people in this country, you know, how good a footballer I was. And, you know, he obviously gave me the platform to go on and make me international career. It was only, you know, a month and a half into the season when I got my first international call-up by Mix. So, well, things can change quickly. And I think if you stick through these things and you battle through them, you can see, not only in life and football, things change. Things can change so quickly.
So quickly, yeah, for sure. Milan 2, Shamrock Rovers 0. I guess that's, you know, it's nice to have played against Milan, to say the least. How do you, by all accounts, I didn't get to see the game. I was listening to radio commentary at one point. By all accounts, you played very well. Were you happy with your own performance?
Yeah, I think, look, I think that as a team we were happy. Like, competing with one of the best sides in European football over the years, and to go up against them, probably a bit gutting that we couldn't go a second leg over in the San Siro. But look, obviously, nobody would have, seen what's happened in the world over the last couple of months. So look, we take that one on the chin. But my own performance, I was happy. I thought I done okay, and for the times when we had the ball, I thought as a team we moved it well, and we never changed. We never went away from what we're good at, and I don't think as a team we can change. I think we have to play that way. So it's important for us, no matter whether we're playing against Waterford on Monday night or Milan on Thursday, that we stick to what we're good at and the way the manager has set us up.
I heard a few of your teammates in defence talking about Zlatan, and they could just sense the quality, be it his movement or his touch or his strength. I mean, I would imagine even when you're seeing him in person, he's even bigger than you might expect. He looks like a specimen. Did anything strike you about his play being on the same pitch as him?
Yeah, I just thought, for a 38-year-old, his movement was unbelievable. I think he still had, so much legs, and he was getting around the pitch, and he was dictating the game at one point from the middle of the park. He was just dropping in, and he's obviously unbelievable footballer. He's played for the best clubs in the world, and he still feels as if he has a lot to offer, and I'm sure he does. But judging by the performance from playing against him the other night, I think he could go for another couple of years. But the fella is obviously looks after himself so well. He was doing crazy kicks over the height of my head during the warm up. So he's obviously fit and ready to rock into the new season. And look, he's obviously started well anyway with a goal against us, even though I'm not happy about it. What's
he doing in his movement?
For such a big man, he was like a ghost on the pitch. You couldn't pick him up. His movement for his goal was fantastic. I thought he just ghosted in the back of Pico at one stage, and but look, saying that, I thought Pico had a great game, but that's just what top players do. You keep them quiet for the whole game, and they pop up in one moment. But I just thought throughout the game, I thought he was brilliant the way he was just dictating the game, and not even by he never once ran himself out of the game. He always looked fresh, even when they didn't have the ball. He never looked like he was blown.
Do you suspect that kind of movement is learned and taught, or is there something innate in the way he sees the game?
I think from such a young age he was so good. So I think it's a natural gift that he has, that he can move so well for a big man. His touch is so good, and but then obviously going through top clubs, it's not enough, and you have to add other little parts to your games and what other managers want you to do. And he's obviously done that over the years. I think his records speak for itself, and the clubs he's played for. But I think he's probably got better as he's gone along with experience.
Was he mouthy on the pitch? Was he loud?
I think he was giving a few of the lads a little bit, but you don't mind that, I mean, it made it competitive. It made it, they weren't taking us lightly. They were, they were right up for the game. They pressed us. They played the game properly. We played the game properly. We couldn't have a minute off, because they have quality to go and hit you for 6 or 7 if you do. So, look, we probably played at our best, although we're disappointed with the goals we conceded. Us playing at our best and them being bang at it. They beat us 2-0, and obviously we're disappointed about it. But it's not the worst result in the world, and not the worst performance, and we took a lot of pride out of it. But if you take 1 minute off against them, they were bang at it on the night, and we had to work really hard for the 2-0 defeat, really.
Sure, look, you're mouthy on the pitch as well. I mean, half the time I'd be worried about you on the pitch if you were quiet. I think you needed to be in the game and in a certain state. Yeah,
I think so. Like, I think I'm probably better when I play when I'm angry. Look, I think I need to do certain things sometimes to get myself up for games. I can't just go out on the pitch and prance about, because if I don't play at a tempo, I may as well not be on the pitch. You may as well be carrying me. So I need to do something to get me up for the game, whether that's moaning at myself half of the time, or saying something to somebody to kind of light me fire. I think that's what I need to do, because I seem to get the best out of myself when I have something to play for.
Generally, so Zlatan aside, and you use that phrase, if you switch off for a moment, they'll punish you. Just in general play, what are the biggest areas where there's a gap? You know, if we're talking about Irish football and clubs like Shamrock Rovers hoping or aspiring to play at some kind of European level regularly and successfully, is it physicality? Is it touch? Is it game awareness? You know, you're probably going to tell me it's a bit of everything, but if there was something that jumped out, having played against them recently.
It's hard to say, like, you know, because there's a gap everywhere. There's a gap between most teams. You know, Man City will go away and play Napoli and they'll beat them 2 or 3-0, and you'll say there's a gap between them. What do they need to do to bridge that gap? So it's a difficult one to say. Like, you see the gap between the top half of the Premier League half of the time and the bottom half of the Premier League is so big. But I just think for our league in general, I think the more, you know, young players we have coming in, hungry young players, the more high quality games we have, you know, the more times the better teams play against each other, I think will benefit the league, whether it will definitely benefit the top teams going for Europe. I thought the idea of Bowes, Derry, you know, Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk playing in the Aviva was a great idea to get teams ready, because it was high tempo, high quality football. The way the European games would have been played, with that kind of feel around it. I think the more games you have like that will only benefit the league going forward. I think, you know, I think up in Scotland the way they kind of cut the league after Christmas, I think it is. And the top teams seem to play each other more often than not. I think that would, you know, maybe benefit us here.
It's interesting you were able, while still playing in the game, to appreciate what Zlatan was doing. I was reading recently Wayne Rooney's column in the Sunday Times. It's always really good, and he was talking about growing up, and he used to watch VHS tapes of Jari Litmanen to learn the role, and he modelled himself and his movement on the things he saw Litmanen doing. Do you go in for any of that? Is there anybody that you did or do model yourself on at times?
Well, I've always grown up like Paul Scholes. Always, you know, loved watching him play. I don't model myself on him because I've moved higher up the pitch now. I play in the number 10 position, but when I first went over to England, I used to play in front of the back four, and that first year in Holland I would have played, you know, a lot of time in midfield, building from the back and through the towards. So I always enjoyed watching Paul Scholes' performances. I just thought he was unbelievable. He never gave a pass away, and it was never the safety option as well with him. He was always trying. He was always you know, trying to find the killer pass. And I just thought, even towards, I remember going to watch a game. I think there's, you know, always a piece going around about when Scholes played this game against Man City, his first game after retirement, when he had the fake boots on, and he went to Sports Direct or something and got a pair of fake boots and went down to play the game. And I don't think he gave the ball away. He was unbelievable. I was in the Etihad watching the game. And I remember coming away in the game thinking, this fella is a different level. I don't think he made a tackle. Don't think he made a header. He was just everywhere. He was just there in front of everyone. So that's probably my favourite player watching when I was growing up was Paul Scholes, and still to this day you get him up on the old YouTube. But it's in black and white.
Yeah, we're all getting old. Did you ever get along to Old Trafford when you were in Manchester to watch him, or would that be dangerous territory to sneak along?
Do you know, I used to try and get some of the Champions League games if they were playing. Like, you know, sometimes you get to see them. You know, some of my family would be United fans, and they go over and watch the games, and you just tag along with them for something to do. And I actually went and I used to go and watch a lot of the reserve team games in Old Trafford, watch Derek Williams and Robbie Brady play against each other. One time I was there with Graham, and I think there was a few of them playing on the pitch that day. Samir Carruthers, Graham Burke, Derek Williams, Robbie Brady, I think Grealish might have played. So there was some good players and players that we've been playing with throughout the age groups. And when they're playing on your doorstep, you'll always go and, you know, see how they're getting on and, you know, offer a bit of support if you can, because it's probably only a few of us over there.
There must have been some unbelievable players you saw, say, even just take the two Manchester clubs, who didn't make it, like high-profile, brilliant youth players who never kicked on. I don't know, did any jump to mind, or were any in your age group?
Do you know what? It's difficult to say, because there's been so many. I've come across so many in my time, and you know, even ones when you're looking at lads when they're 12, 13, 14, and you know, you just don't know how to, like, at the time you're thinking these lads are going to be, you know, the next big thing, and then 2 or 3 years later you don't see them in the academy anymore. You're thinking, where are these boys gone? So it's difficult, but you know, you always have the Phil Fodens and, you know, the Brahim Diaz's who used to, you know, play up with us, and we'd be watching them, you know, their clips used to be going around the academy when we were younger, and you'd see some of the stuff they were doing, you'd be thinking, these boys are different gravy, and they're the ones that have obviously kicked on and done really well. But saying most of the lads out of my Man City youth team would have had careers out of the game, I don't think any of them aren't playing. I think most of them are still, you know, they found their level and probably could play higher, but probably got bogged down into, you know, coming from an academy team that are winning, you know, 4-5-0 every week, and, you know, passing the ball and doing really well under Vieira, to go on and playing for Walsall in League One, and it's a battle in your hands, and it's completely different. So, you know, some people fall out of the game or just slide down the ladder that don't deserve to be there. And, you know, if you go and you watch a game in League One or League Two, there's no surprise that there's always one or two players that you think, my God, he shouldn't be playing there, you know, and it's just that bit of luck that you need with a manager. You see, you know, plenty of teams, Luton, I think, back-to-back promotions, Sheffield United, back-to-back promotions to the Premier League. So some of these boys playing in League One soon start to mix it in the Premier League, you know, so it's just one of those things. But most of the lads that you know, we've played with are still in the game and still doing really well.
Ravel Morrison wasn't around your vintage, was he?
He was. I would have played against him. I played against him when I was younger in the reserves, but, you know, we would have been in the same youth team as Paul Pogba and, you know, all these boys. And I've heard stories about him saying that, you know, he was obviously, you know, the one that probably got away. But to be honest, when I played against him, Ryan Tunnicliffe was probably a better player, and he's playing for Luton now. So,
right.
You know, when I played with Ryan at Wigan, and he's a good player, but, you know, there's always, everyone will have their own opinion. He can do unbelievable stuff with the ball, Ravel, when you watch him. But, you know, I think in a 90-minute game, for me, I didn't think he was, you know, going to be better than the Pogbas that were playing beside him.
And was Pogba just evidently, clearly class and just going to make it? Yeah,
he was. He was quality. You know, we used to play them in the Manchester Senior Cup, and, you know, I think it would have been only 15 going up watching the reserves. Ian Lawler would have been playing against him, and he was a proper player. He had everything, like, and there's no surprise that Juventus took him. I think a year or two later, and stuck him straight in their first game when they knew he wasn't going to play for Man United. You have to be some player to go over there and play straight away, you know. So he was kind of like Olivier Encham, who was at Man City with me, who's now at Celtic. He was bigger and stronger, a lot more physically developed than you know, me at the time, who wasn't probably going to peak and ever have a chance to play first-team football until I was 19 or 20. These boys could have played from the time they were 15 or 16.
You know, that academy style of football, how does that compare to when you get to senior football and the pressure? Because sometimes it's accused of being, you know, you're just almost a bit too perfect in the centre-half split, and, you know, there's nothing on the line in terms of people's livelihoods if we get relegated, and just that cut and thrust. How does academy football and lads who shine in that environment compare to what you might have experienced at senior level?
I don't agree with it completely when people say that, because, you know, there's still lads that you're playing academy football, you're still fighting for your jersey, you're still fighting to get into it, you know, a Man City's first team, or you're still fighting to get another contract. If you're not at it every week, or, you know, you're not playing well, and you're not going to move up the ranks, you're not going to get into your first team at the end of the day. You're not going to earn a living. So now a lot of these boys that would leave, you know, school and go to academy graduates and not have great educations, and, you know, you haven't got a lot to fall back on. So, you know, for me, when I was playing academy football, I was thinking, I'm going to get in the first team. I want to be better than the person who would have signed from Real Madrid for $5 million who was playing beside me. Do you know what I mean? I was thinking, this is, you know, I need to be at it every week, otherwise I won't get a game for Man City's under 18s. How am I going to go and play anywhere else? So I don't agree with it 100%, but I do understand when people are coming from, kids might get, you know, too much too soon, and they might get, you know, a false, you know, sense of security, and, you know, I can understand that, and I do feel sorry for some of the kids that happens to, because, you know, I've seen it a lot. Kids get a lot of money, and they might not have great family around them, and, you know, might not be spent wisely, and then in a couple of years you see them and, you know, they're not playing football anymore, and you're thinking, you know, what's going on there? And I hope the kid has good people around them, because it's you need that when you know you get the 19, 20 years of age and there's another 16-year-old coming through, and, you're not going to break into the first team, they soon give that 16-year-old a chance ahead of you.
Yeah, there's just so much talent out there. Was anybody in the City first team good to you or encouraging to you or took time out to help you along?
There was a lot. Like, we used to have, say, Carlos Tevez when he was frozen out of the first team. He used to train with us, for that whole 6 or 7 months when he had that argument with Mcelhenny, and even not speaking English and stuff, just training with them players every day, learning from them. When we was only 15, and this Carlos Tevez, one of the best players, one of the best strikers in the world. Obviously, he was frozen out at the time. But obviously, there's a lot of people that are good to you, and they help you out. Gareth when I first went over, he came down, met the whole family, spent a good few hours with us around the training ground. When you're going up training with them, all the lads are always sound. I remember when I was training with the squad for the first one of the first Champions League squads that was kind of in and around with the U Champions League, and you go up and train with the first team, and Willie Caballero would have been brilliant to us. He would have been so good, one of the best, and could not speak a lot of English, so it's not really the English speaking lads or anything like that. It was just there was always people looking out for you, and I think they always just, once you had respect and once you tried hard and worked hard, I think most of them, you just get along with them.
Jeez, I gotta say, I sort of forget some of the quality that you've been around. 15 years old training with Carlos Tevez is nuts.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, we had some good players in that bomb squad, I'll call it. I think Eoin Hargreaves was there, and Boyata, and there was some good players, to be fair.
Yeah, Hargreaves at that point, I presume his knees were just, it was dreadful what happened to him. I mean, he was such a brilliant player.
If he couldn't get near the first time, how could any of us?
I guess you're probably a bit disappointed looking on the Bulgaria and the Finland games. I understand reading that Stephen Kenny had a chat with you. What was the gist of the message?
Just, he didn't want to play a number 10 in the games, and just said it wasn't out of his plans. This was just the squad he was going to go with for the games, and look, I respect that, and that's not a problem. I know that it's a hard job for anyone to pick a squad of 23 players. This time 18 months ago, if you had told me, I would have been near the squad. I would have laughed at you, or I would have bit your hand off. So to be getting a phone call off Stephen, and probably come away from the phone call a bit disappointed that you're not in the squad. For me, it wasn't a disappointment. It was a, I know I can do better, and I know I can try and do better, and I can try and improve. And I think I can only take positives out of it, because I've gone on and I've done well now since the squad was announced, and since I probably did need a little bit of a kick up my own backside really, and knuckle down again. Not to say I wasn't trying, but I just probably wasn't playing as well as I could have been playing. And we think I've got a few games under my legs now. I didn't have a great pre-season. I didn't play a game in pre-season, so
right.
And we've got the games into my legs now, and I just hopefully whether I'm in the squad or not in the squad, the next one, hopefully the lads can go and do well, because I was obviously involved last year, and I would like to see, obviously as a fan as well, I'd like to see Ireland qualify no matter whether I'm in it or not. So obviously disappointed looking on when they played against Bulgaria that I wasn't involved, because obviously thought I'd done well against them the last time I played, and probably thought I could have affected it, but it's not really a big issue for me. I just need to concentrate on what I'm doing. Yeah,
no, I'd say Bulgaria in particular, because I mean you were brilliant that night. You changed the game, and I kind of thought, well, this guy's going to be a fixture in the squad going forward almost automatically. And are you in your own head, you're just definitely a number 10? If the team shape was such that, well, actually, could you play sitting role or play a bit deeper, given that you've done it before? Over in Holland, I think in particular, is that something you kind of close the door on, or do you feel I just want to be a number 10? I'm definitely a 10.
I think I could play, all across the midfield. I've probably played, a full season in League One playing right midfield when was playing an Oldham team that, you know, we didn't play great football, but it got me in areas of the pitch, up beside Owen Doyle, where it could affect it. And we had, you know, 2 workhorses in the middle of the park. So it just don't know. You just, different teams, different styles, different managers' opinions on where they see you playing. And, you know, you just take it from there. If you're told to play on the left, you're told to play on the right, or you're told to play in goal, you just go and do it. And that's what your manager wants you to do. And, you know, I probably wouldn't have done it. Years ago, I probably would have, you know, laughed at you and said, oh, no, I only want to play here, I want to play there. But, you know, you get old and you get more wiser, and, you know, manager tells you to go and play in goal, you go and play in goal. And that's just the way it is.
You sound like you have matured a lot, all right.
Yeah, it's just, you know, we've been through a hell of a lot in my career. You know, I've played loads of clubs and got myself in situations that, would I get myself in them situations now, looking back? You know, certainly not. And will I get myself in them situations going forward? No, I won't. So, look, hindsight is a great thing, and, you know, you can only learn these things when you go through them. And, you know, the stuff I went through at 18, I don't think, you know, any kid would have went through from the time they were, you know, 11 to 18. And, you know, I think I've definitely learned from it, and, you know, we'll come out stronger, no doubt.
Final point, it'd be remiss of me not to mention things are going very well, obviously, with Rovers. 8 points clear, 6 games to go. So I would think that's very much the focus now. Win a league title and you know, finally get that done. That's where the head's at very much at the moment. Yeah,
definitely. I think, you know, it's an old cliche, just take it one game at a time. But, you know, I think that's what we have to do. But, you know, we would be lying if we said, you know, we don't know that we're 8 points clear at the top of the table and there's only 6 games left to go. And we obviously aware of our position and, you know, how hard we've worked to get in this position. And it's up to us now not to let anybody take it from us and nail it home. You know, it'd be a good end to the season, and, you know, hopefully we can do it. Well,
listen, keep it going. Hopefully we see you in a green jersey again very soon. Jack Byrne, with thanks to Coca-Cola and their youth impaired program, it's Coca-Cola Hellenic, HELLENIC.com, or #YouthEmpowered is where you can check out more info and maybe check out Jack's contribution as well. Listen, pleasure, sir. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
OTB AM on OTB Sports Radio, Ireland's first and only sports radio station.
The Premier League is back on Off the Ball with 2 live and exclusive commentaries every Sunday.
First time ball into the back post to Salah. Oh, what a save! And it's in! Liverpool have scored!
And the best analysis around for Brian Kerr, Kenny Cunningham, Damien Delaney and John Giles.
He's real. There's no bullshit with Johnny Giles.
We've got the football show weeknights from 9, live goals every Saturday from 1, and the biggest games every Sunday. That's the Premier League, live and exclusive on OTB Sports Radio. Football on Off the Ball with Paddy Power, fueling the mischief in the beautiful game. Always gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net for more.
The all-new OTB Sports app. It's all videos, sports news, live scores, interviews, podcasts, all waiting for you. Search OTB Sports on your app store and download now.
OTB AM.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
Hi, very good morning to you. Welcome along to OTB AM. If you've just joined us, as you have done, if you've just downloaded the podcast, then you missed some good stuff that we played from last night's football show with Jack Byrne, talking about training on the bomb squads alongside Carlos Tevez and Owen Hargreaves and Willie Cahir and a couple of others, and the experience that he had there. Gareth Barry, it turns out, is a nice young man. Who would have thunk it? If you want to get involved this morning, feel free. Hashtag is OTBAM on Twitter, or you can always use WhatsApp 087 9180 180. Owen, good morning to you. How are you?
Very well, good morning.
What's it like down in Kerry?
Miserable, absolutely miserable. Getting battered by the Atlantic here this morning. How glamorous that sounds.
Yeah, it's every day. Are you getting your surfboard out and going out and being one of those people that we read about in the news that had to be rescued?
It might be a good reason to actually start surfing then, to get my name up in lights. Front page of the Irish Times. Man, it survives.
Squall.
That could be it, you know.
Yeah. I think we need to work on our headline writing. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that the people who make a living of it in the back page of the tabloids are a little bit better at it than us. Where are we starting this morning, Owen?
There's only one place to start, really. It is with the prestigious Carabao Cup. The cup that had threatened to overtake the FA Cup, I reckon, in previous years, until Carling jumped ship. I thought that was the peak of the Carabao Cup, really, was when Carling were involved. Unfortunately, I think it's just gone back to the pack a little bit, as in with the John Stone Payne Trophy and, I don't know, with the League One playoff or something like that, where nobody actually cares about it. But you do have a great opportunity here if you are a manager who is looking after a team that is struggling a little bit, to inject a bit of confidence. Your favourite word, a little bit of momentum into their season by spanking a League One or a League Two team. That is how you get your season up and running. Like Newcastle United last night, winning 7-0 at Morecambe. That is how you get a season up and running. Maybe not the 3-0 win on the opening day against West Ham. This is how you probably get your season up and running. Everton with another 5-2 win away to Fleetwood Town. That was the game, curiously, that they chose for television last night. That they chose Joey Barton against Carlo Ancelotti as the managerial tete-a-tete for them.
He's an Everton fan. That's why, isn't it? That's like, that's his. There was a thing about his son wanted a Liverpool shirt and wanted Bobby Firmino's name, and it came back spelled wrong, Fermino, and he was like, ah ha ha ha. And the reason he loves Carlo Ancelotti is because now the kid loves Everton. Changed his mind apparently.
So they probably got about a good 20 minutes of chat out of that in the middle of their 5-2 win last night in commentary. I just don't know why they didn't pick Leicester City against Arsenal when that was clearly the standout fixture of the night. But for a €10 fee, of course, you could watch Leicester City against Arsenal legally last night. And the other game of note would have been Chelsea against Barnsley. So I did watch all of Leicester against Arsenal last night, but there was far more interesting things to talk about, I feel.
Hang on, okay, so you're in the full Jones of an Arsenal addiction at the moment. You've been sucked right back in to the point where you're watching the kids play in the Carabao Cup. And was it the kids or is it a mixture? Is Mikel Arteta actually taking this a little bit seriously?
It's a mixture, but I'm not sure it's to do with actually taking the competition seriously. I think it's more to do with the fact that their Liverpool game is Monday Night Football next week. So insofar as you can get rusty in a season like this, having an actual Saturday until the following Monday turnaround, a 9-day rest, might actually have been too much. Can you believe it? In the year of our Lord 2020, that somebody might have actually had a little bit too much rest. And I think that's why he injected a little bit of experience into the team, because, as I say, nobody wants to win the Carabao Cup. Like, it's going to become a nuisance if you're surviving it a little bit too long. Brendan Rodgers made wholesale changes to his team. But Arsenal had a couple of the first teamers in there. A few that you might expect to actually start on a regular basis. Like one of those players was David Luiz, though, who's coming back to fitness now after getting injured before the season, and he looked pretty good last night. Eddie Nketiah looking really, really good. Again, he's excellent without the ball and scored a second goal last night. But yeah, in the throes of a full-on addiction, and with Liverpool playing tonight, that Monday Night Football game, they've got one less 24-hour window to be ready for the might of Arsenal coming their way to suffer a meek 3-1 defeat or something like that next Monday.
There was some relevant news coming from the Chelsea game, though.
Chelsea, yeah, I find this a far more telling indication. Kai Havertz scored a hat-trick last night. This is, I guess, a transfer that we've spoken about quite a bit in Deal or No Deal. It is something we've been waiting for bated breath. We had pundits on to tell us about where Kai Havertz plays, and we actually got information before the season started that Kai Havertz might actually be the number 9 for Chelsea. First game of the season against Brighton and Hove Albion, he is shunted out into the right flank and plays terribly. His pass that goes out of off the pitch, missing his man by about 10 metres, is one that goes viral, and everybody's like, this guy's already a flop. Kai Havertz, sell him. Well, whatever you paid for him, doesn't matter. Just make back 2-3 million, sell him immediately, career over, ha ha ha. Let's all laugh at Chelsea. Some of those people might have actually been laughing at Kai Havertz as well last weekend when he gets taken off against Liverpool. But really, that's just a completely irrelevant thing to do because Chelsea were down to 10 men. And I think in general, Chelsea's performance against Liverpool in that first half might actually go down as one of the better performances against Liverpool this season, up until, of course, they were down to 10 men. Kai Havertz gets taken off in that, but he gets another chance last night and he bangs in a hat-trick, playing in the number 10 role, playing just behind Tammy Abraham. And I think this is just where he's destined to play. He's brilliant at arriving into the box late. If that Tammy Abraham becomes a Timo Werner from this weekend, as it probably will revert to type, I think that's just a terrifying central prospect. You also had Thiago Silva making his Chelsea debut last night. And let me give you a barrage of Thiago Silva stat bombs here this morning. A 94% passing accuracy, 64 to 68 passes completed accurately, 100% tackle success, He may have only completed one tackle, but still a 100% tackle success. Also a 100% aerial duels won statistic clocked up. He may have only won one aerial duel, but still, it's a 100% aerial duels one stat. You can get carried away with Thiago Silva now. Your defence is officially solid. And Ben Chilwell came on and chalked up an assist for the 6th goal against Barnsley, which really is quite a way to kick off your Chelsea career.
I know he's 36, but we've seen the impact that having a defensive spine, a leader, a grown-up in the dressing room had when they didn't have one at Manchester City. Everybody pointed to Vincent Kompany being somehow this miraculous thing that held everything together, despite the fact he hadn't properly been in the team for a long time and had been way past his best for a number of seasons. Had a late, great Indian summer of about 5 or 6 games at the end of his career at Man City that made everybody go, oh, he's back to his best. But he wasn't. He absolutely wasn't. And but his absence seems to have been the only thing that caused the difficulty Manchester City had last year. So is this what justifies having a 36-year-old be the defensive linchpin of your team?
It's a good comparison, actually, because I definitely think that there were signs of Vincent Kompany maybe slowing down, not looking like his old self in his final year of Manchester City. But it actually didn't matter, it turned out. It actually just mattered what Vincent Kompany was bringing elsewhere, and he was certainly making up for it in other ways. The question is, does he accumulate that over time, being a Manchester City player?
Or can you,
or doesn't,
just because he's old?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Probably something we need to wait and see. But I don't know, if you're a centre forward going up against Kurt Zouma and Thiago Silva, you know that they've got brute force to probably rough you up a little bit in games, to say the least. Zouma's got a lot of pace, and he's looking like Frank Lampard's first choice in the heart of the defence at the moment. It could be something you just go in with immediately this weekend. I know you might be looking at Rudiger and Zouma as your first choice partnership as the season goes on, but I wonder, is it actually just worth trying out Thiago Silva and Zouma for a little while and seeing if they sink or swim? Like, you had Cesar Azpilicueta in there last night as well. Maybe he's not gone away. Maybe Reece James actually isn't going to hold on to that jersey for the entire season at right back. But can he have that sort of transformative impact at this time in his career? I would definitely have my doubts, but there's probably kids in the dressing room looking around, and if nothing else, they're saying, oh, I love the rapper Dave and I love his song Thiago Silva, and as a result of that, you're my new hero. Maybe that's the sort of thing that they're looking for in Chelsea's squad. The one thing one last thing on Chelsea is that people are saying that it's Lampard's kids and that plan of developing English youngsters to get to the very top has been somewhat abandoned in recent times. The English part of that probably has. I mean, like, Tammy Abraham is not going to be a starter at number 9 because
but he's a brilliant fourth striker. Like, what Man United would give to have him on their books as their sub?
Absolutely. And also, as well, they are investing in someone like Kai Havertz, who just turned 21 this summer, who is not the finished product. Just because you've spent a lot of money does not mean that the thing that you've bought is ready to go immediately. You are buying future end product from this guy, and there are going to be a lot of setbacks for Havertz this season as he adjusts to a new league, but also as he develops into a man who's just getting into his 20s now. There are going to be setbacks, similarly to how there were going to be setbacks for Lampard's team last year. So I don't know. I think that just judging this as a complete overhaul and how Chelsea are viewing the future is, I think that's just too quick off the mark, I must say. Now, Werner and Ziyech, you could probably say, are ready to go, and Thiago Silva, obviously a seasoned veteran, so that flies in the face of all of that. But I think there are reasons to be excited for the future as well as the now, if you're a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, I think it must be an unbelievably exciting time to be a Chelsea fan. And the perpetual now that we live in when it comes to football analysis, and we're part of that. I understand that, we're literally here every day talking about what's happened last night in football, and so therefore we're a contributor factor. But the whole notion that Frank Lampard must be amazing straight off the bat is he's had a wet week in the job, essentially, and they've made huge investments. And I think that the investments that they've made are not the type of investments that... It's not like they went and signed Gareth Bale and Ronaldo, where this week you have to win because those players are at their absolute peak. It is signing players who can, over the next 2 or 3 seasons, reach a point where you could be... if all those signings that they made this year work out, then... and reach the potential that they could reach, then they have a team of Galacticos that they turned into Galacticos. And that's the bit that must be super exciting if you're a Chelsea fan. The alternative is that one of them becomes a Galactico, the rest of the team isn't good enough, it's imbalanced, that Galactico leaves in the same style as Eden Hazard, and maybe you get a league title out of it if you're lucky along the way. 0879 180 180 is the number here if you want to get in touch with us. It's 10 minutes past 8. Are we going to briefly talk about Wrexham?
We have to talk about Wrexham this morning. I mean, joining the ranks of celebrity football owners are Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mcelhenny investing in Wrexham AFC yesterday, completely out of the blue. It reminds me of that scene in Succession where they're deciding whether they're going to invest in Hibs or Hearts, and whichever one is the correct one happens to be the wrong one in their view, and they go and give a team talk to Hibs, thinking they're Hearts, or vice versa. I can't quite remember. I do think that there was a little bit more knowledge of, I guess, Welsh football here, and there might be, I don't know, some sort of ulterior motive. It might just be, the ulterior motive might just be a lot of my mates have interest in Welsh football, because I didn't realise this until yesterday, but Mindy Kaling is one of the investors in Swansea City as part of their American takeover and big investment in around 2017. She was also part of that consortium, which I don't really understand. I mean, because it wasn't a publicised thing at the time. She actually revealed it in a piece on Lorraine Kelly's show, saying that she had been given inspiration from Oprah to invest in Swansea.
Right.
And revealing. So, like, I'm always mystified by these things. Is it a publicity stunt? The answer to that question is often no, because it's never really that well publicised by the people who are investing. They see this as a genuine opportunity to have a slice of a pie in an industry across the ocean in the UK. Like, I mean, you think about other celebrity owners, and Diddy almost invested in Crystal Palace at one point. He says that it just wasn't the right business move for him to do that. And you also had Snoop Dogg trying to invest in Celtic after they'd beaten Barcelona in the Champions League a few years ago. He says he said at the time he wanted to bring a bit of Snoop to Celtic Football Club.
Look, Snoop Dogg and Dermot Desmond, what a board meeting that would be.
I don't need to run a soccer club, but I would want enough of a percentage to get me on the board so I can be heard. I got a lot of interest in soccer, and I see how passionate Celtic fans are about their team. And he said Barcelona are a big deal, and it shows Celtic are a big deal as well. And he was like, his favourite player at the time was Samaras. He was really impressed by Samaras. He says that he was a proper athlete and a pretty dangerous player. If we are to go far in Europe, Samaras needs to play well. So I'm not sure that he probably didn't play that well that season after Barcelona was probably the peak of their of that season.
Right, we'll talk more Dele Alli a little bit later on, but we want to get into our first story of the morning. It's 13 minutes past 8 here, and we're talking about the dual players of Cahir in County Tipperary, and it's a big weekend for them. It might be a massive weekend for them. There is 2 games in a 24-hour, 26-hour span. The Junior A Camogie final is on Saturday afternoon at 12 o'clock. On Sunday at 2 o'clock, they're due to play Aherlow in the Tip Ladies Football Senior A final. So the Camogie's on the Saturday at noon. The football is on the Sunday at 2 p.m. and this fixture clash is causing them a lot of concern. Aishling Moloney is one of the most recognised Gaelic footballers in the country and is a member of both teams. Aishling, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
So maybe you might spool us back a couple of weeks. You're going along, season's going well, you're winning about the Camogie and the football. At any stage at that point, were you looking forward and going, this might be a bit of an issue if things keep going well?
Yeah, so I suppose just to start from the start, for those who don't know what's going on, I suppose we're faced with 2 county finals at the weekend now on the 26th and 27th. We already did this back in September on the 12th and 13th. We played a Junior A final on the Saturday, followed by a football final on the Sunday. We said that weekend that we'd suffer the consequences in hope that we were going to be in a final. I suppose since it's a final now, we're kind of obviously not taking it lightly, because obviously you're going to need 100% to win both games. But this is actually a Camogie issue, not a football issue. Camogie finals were on last weekend, the 19th and 20th gone. Intermediate and senior games were played, but yet somehow the junior game has been brought forward to Saturday. Now, football weekend is always the 27th of September. For as long as I'm playing football, I've always known it to be a football weekend. This Sunday, 27th of September, they actually play all their finals on the junior, intermediate and senior. So this is actually a Camogie issue. It's nothing to do with the LGFA. This was also flagged prior to the semi-final when we played the football on the Friday. Our club officers notified the county board to let them know that this could be a possible issue and flagged it. So county board officers were known of this clash coming up that's going to happen this weekend.
Okay, so the Camogie Association have said that they have talked to both of the clubs involved in both the... I don't know how they were talking to the football club. I guess they wrote to the football club and asked if there was any possibility of moving it. So your opponents have also refused to move the game on Saturday. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we follow procedures. There's a procedure that you have to follow when you want to get a match changed. So we follow procedure, and we contacted our club that we're playing against, Villa, to see would they help us out in some way, but they refused, which is totally understandable. They're willing to do that. What we're kind of fighting is that in a case of player welfare issues coming to arise, we think that the county board should intervene and have a say in this. We received a statement from Tipperary County Board last night. It stated that they saw no free weekend, which we believe this is totally incorrect, that last weekend this junior game could have been played on the weekend of 19/20, and there's no reason for it. There's no rush in this Camogie game being played. It could be played in the following weeks, as it doesn't go on to Munster and All-Ireland. So what we're saying here is that the county board need to intervene. There's player welfare issues going on here. We're playing a game within 26 hours, and I think now there needs to be put a stop to it.
So, Aishling, just to go back to that, their statement said that this had been the weekend fixed for this junior final the whole way through. Why was this junior final different from the rest of the Camogie finals?
So we actually understand that they had a fix for this weekend, but what we're saying is we are like Lockmore Castleknock. We're a dual club. We had flagged this with them 3 and 4 weeks ago that this is going to happen. At the start of the year, when we get a set of fixtures, we can't presume that we're going to be in finals. We have to just take the weeks as they come. So it's not that we didn't flag it with them. This has been flagged 3-4 weeks ago with them. So I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me why they didn't just have this as a Camogie weekend last Saturday and Sunday and put all the finals on the junior, intermediate and senior. But we've been aware now that the junior B semi-finals in Camogie are happening Sunday 27th of September, and the finals are on the following weekend. And we're requesting that we play this weekend, but somehow or another, we're not being accommodated in that. I don't understand why. It's so confusing. So you think you could have played last weekend or the weekend after? That's the case that you guys are making? Yeah, we could have played last weekend or the weekend after. Seeing as the Junior B semi-finals are going ahead for this Sunday 27th semi-finals, and the finals are the following weekend, why couldn't they made a junior weekend out of it on the 3rd and 4th of October? Isn't the real problem, Aishling, though, that the Camogie and the LGFA and the Camogie are separate organisations here, and so one organisation sits down and makes its fixtures, the other organisation sits down and makes their fixtures, and actually, when you're saying the county board should intervene, there needs to be the same county board. Even though you're a dual club, technically it's separate organisations. Yeah, we understand that it's separate organisations. I suppose Tip Ladies Football came out with a statement and they said they're always open and willing to work with Camogie. Now, as far as we're concerned, we're not sure. I don't know how you're going to take that up if they have tried to be in contact with Tipperary Camogie start to this whole championship starting. So I don't know how you're going to take that up, but I don't think, in this instance, I actually don't think it matters that both organisations are separate. I think Camogie are being slightly arrogant on their approach to this. I don't know why. Why couldn't they play it that weekend? And if a Junior B semi-final is going on next weekend, I can't understand as to why we can't be accommodated. We have stressed our player welfare issues. We've already done this. We didn't kick up a fuss. We didn't crow previous to this on the weekend of the 12th and 13th of September. But here we are now, and I suppose, look, normally you throw these things under the blanket, and I do myself. I often say nothing and don't speak up, but I just think it's gone beyond the joke now at this stage, because there's actually, we can be accommodated, but they're just being arrogant about it, and I just don't understand why. And if the county board were to step in and change the fixture, would your opponents likely complain about that? Because, you know, we've seen inter-club rivalries in other counties have bubbled up over the course of the summer to the point where an under-16 game ended up nearly costing an inter-county team access to 5 of its best players. So, like, do they have the wherewithal to step in now that the club that you're playing against have refused your request to move the game? Yeah, well, that's what we think should happen, that if there's player welfare issues coming in line, I think the county board have to step in, regardless of what the club thinks. Like, we follow procedures and went the right way about this, the way you do to try to get a match changed. Like, we didn't really do anything out of line. We kept quiet. We worked in the background. We said nothing, but we said to the county board that if you're not going to accommodate us, there's no other way. We've no other choice, but to go to media. So here we are today fighting it. But I understand what you're saying, but seeing as there are player welfare issues involved, and it's the duty of the county board and the club officers to look after their players and their player welfare. I don't know if they're fulfilling this duty, if they're allowing a clash to go ahead like this, and they're aware that this was flagged 3-4 weeks ago, and it could be played last weekend, the 1920, or the following weekend, the 3rd and 4th. So I know we're sitting here very confused this morning after receiving a statement back from Tipperary County Board.
I have two last things there. The first one, with the weekend of the 11th and 12th, you obviously played a camogie match and a football match on that weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, we did. We played the Junior A on the Junior A semi-final against Drummond Inch on the Saturday, and we played a Senior A football final against Brian Brews on the Sunday, and we were lucky to come through it. We were 9 points down with about 5-6 minutes to go, and we came back and won it. Luckily, thank God. So. And
in terms of what the aftermath of that was like for the players, how many dual players are we talking about?
Sorry, actually, that's a valid point to actually mention. We have 16 dual players and 10 of them are starters on both teams.
And what was the week after, like in terms of welfare issues? Do you have welfare issues coming out of that weekend that might carry forward to this?
We certainly do, yeah. I suppose we can easily brag on here and make up that we player welfare issues, but we actually did. Personally myself, a few of us are involved in county setups, and I suppose I've never actually, it took such a toll on my body. And I suppose you'd be used to kind of hard training and that during the week, but it took a severe toll on our bodies. I'm only coming around now, and so are the other girls. So, look, we kept quiet about it because we didn't want to be making a scene, and we said we'll just suffer the consequence now in hope that we're going to be in a final. And we said nothing about it. We understood at the time that, our matches were put forward because of Moneygall had an instance of COVID there. But now we feel it was flagged at them in 3-4 weeks ago. Now we feel that we actually can't. They actually are not and refusing to accommodate us.
Aishling, is this the first thing something like this has happened to you personally at club or at county level?
No, it actually hasn't. It's happened underage. I remember when we were younger, we used to be playing a football match on a Saturday, a football match on a Sunday. We could be playing a football match on a Saturday, followed by a football match that Saturday evening. It's happening in Cahir at the minute. I know Alan O'Connor is involved with us. He trained Lockmore Castleiney to the double in 2013. So he knows what it's like working with a dual club with our counterparts in Lockmore Castleiney. His daughter, last weekend gone, was out 2 days on the trot, football and camogie. So, look, it's happening at underage level as well. Obviously, I think when it comes into that stage, I think both county boards need to come and talk together on that. But I think in this instance, it's totally separate to Tipperary ladies football. Tipperary camogie are just being arrogant on it, and I just don't understand why.
Yeah, I guess the dual thing is all, especially when you have two separate organisations, it's always going to throw up problems. Do you feel that it's just exacerbated a little bit by the pandemic and the fact that we're trying to cram in a whole load of club fixtures before inter-county begins?
No, I don't think so, because last weekend was free and following weekend is free, and there's no rush with this camogie game to be played. It could be played in a few weeks down the line. And look, I suppose if someone got COVID, God forbid, in one of the clubs, these games will be pushed forward anyway. So I just don't understand. I don't think there's an excuse for that we're squishing the club games in, because we're here looking at 2 weekends, but it's just, I don't know, it's just so frustrating what's going on at the minute. We can't put our fingers on it, our heads, so we can't throw light in this. It's crazy what's going on.
Let me just read some of the Tipperary Camogie board statement, because obviously they're not here. So Tipperary Camogie has carefully planned a full programme of club activity during this very short club activity window of late July to early October. Our fixtures committee has tried to give players at all adult grades and underage teams a reasonable championship of matches within this narrow time frame. Our county teams begin action on the weekend of October the 17th and panels have begun preparation recently. The COVID-19 lockdown has caused havoc with our original fixtures, and revised fixtures were sent out in June with a reminder of dates in August, with quarter-finals, semi-finals and finals to be fixed for senior, intermediate, junior A and junior B grades. There was no possibility of having free weekends in our fixture plan. There's no change to the adult fixture programme sent in June, except for Moneygall and St Cronins being subject to a 14-day delay while some players were affected by the off-leash lockdown. Junior A final has been fixed for September 26th for over 3 months. They say various options were explored about Cahir playing both football and camogie next weekend, and both opposition clubs in football and camogie were contacted, but a change was not feasible to these clubs. The dual player issue is very difficult to solve with clashes of fixtures and busy schedules for dual players as both clubs or county teams progress. The fixture committees of both Tip Camogie and Tip LGFA are in weekly contact throughout the playing season to avoid playing matches on the same day, wishing all three clubs the best in the upcoming games. So they're basically saying, we tried, our hands are tied here once the two clubs refuse.
Yeah, like, to be honest, reading that statement, like, I think for anyone in Ireland, you'd have to be blunt about it and say the wool is just over their eyes. No free weekends. Like, we're looking at last weekend, we're looking at the weekends leading on. Like, they need to take a stance, I personally think, and on behalf of the dual players, we think as well, as we stated in our players' statement last night in return to them, that when player welfare issues are on the line, that the county board need to step in. And just read, when we received that statement last night, it was so frustrating to read, because this has been flagged with them. This has been flagged with them for weeks about this. Suffered the consequence in the semi-final. It's so avoidable what's going on this weekend, and we wouldn't sit here creating a fuss. So I don't know. It's just really, really hard to understand what's going on, and it's just so confusing, and I suppose so disrespectful to all of us as players and members of Camogie. And I suppose we've one girl involved with Tipperary Camogie, Roisin Herod. She's played at Tipperary Camogie all through the ranks, and I suppose looking at her going into a county setup now, and they're not taking even her player welfare into account. God forbid she goes out the weekend and she does a cruciate ligament. One of the stars for their team. I suppose, I don't know. It just seems all very, very, very confusing, and it's just an absolute downright disgrace the way it's going on at the minute now.
All right, Aishling, thanks very much for joining us this morning. We wish you the very best of luck. Are both games going to go ahead as far as you're concerned?
As far as we're concerned, they are. Look, I suppose we're just going to have to troop on now, I suppose. It's not even about us dual players. There's girls on the Camogie team who aren't playing football, and there's girls on the football team who aren't playing Camogie. So both sides are being affected. Management are being affected. I suppose this is having an emotional impact on us as well. I haven't had a wink sleep the whole week, because I just think this is absolutely crazy. Sport is there to be enjoyed, and here we are hustling and bustling the week of the county final when we should be enjoying it. So look, we'll troop on anyway, and we'll see where this takes us. But I don't know. It's just so downright disrespectful and so confusing.
Well, listen, best of luck with it this weekend. Thanks a million for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having us as well, because I suppose without you we can't air our concerns. So I just like to thank you as well for having us on. We're really grateful for that.
No problems. That's Aishling Moloney there, one of the Tipperary footballers, and obviously a Cahir dual player ahead of the weekend, where fingers crossed everybody gets through safe and sound the two matches and the 2 days. If you want to get in touch with us this morning, 0879 180 180 is the number. Now, we're going to talk with Graham Hunter in a moment. First, though, the Champions Cup fallout continued last night. Here's Keith Wood on the suggestion that Saracens used illegal scrummaging techniques at the Aviva last Saturday.
And just to pick your brain in another moment on the scrum, whatever about Andrew Porter, who's still developing, somebody as experienced as Cian Healy, you know, the solutions you proposed there, I presume must have occurred to him. Sean Cronin similarly. The point has been made elsewhere as well that Kelleher is by all accounts a better scrummager, or better in the scrum than Sean Cronin. I don't know to what extent that is true. Did you see that front row try and get lower and do those things that you were suggesting?
Well, there's a couple of others. You go from the hooker to attack the tight head. So instead of attacking the hooker, you try and drop your bind some small bit, your right arm, and try and head out towards the tight head to offset it and to make certain it's easier for your loose head. I don't know. I think it works as a unit. Front row and hold pack doesn't just go down to one player to whether they've done it or haven't done it. But I didn't see them adjusting as much. But I actually thought, and like this is now as if we're blaming Leinster, I have to say I thought the Saracens pack were phenomenal, like truly phenomenal, and I thought they buckled under the pressure, and they didn't seem. I think they were tried a few different things. They tried to offset the scrums a couple of times themselves, but it didn't seem to matter on Saturday what they did, because Saracens just looked fully geared up to chase after it themselves, and they chased it up on the tight head side on a couple of occasions. And I mean, it was just huge pressure. You could see the huge pressure going in all along. It's funny because I've read a lot of the articles since, and some people say, well, some of that's cheating and some of that was wrong, and the referee gave it in the wrong direction. The referee tends to penalise the team that is under the most pressure. That's what tends to happen now. And Leinster were under pressure for nearly every single scrum.
Yeah, it's true. There's no arguing around that. That's Keith Wood speaking with Joe and Rory O'Connor last night on Monday Night Rugby. The best place to get your access to Monday Night Rugby, if you're not listening to the radio, which obviously you should be between 7 and 10, but you know, life gets in the way sometimes, is actually on the OTB Sports app. You can download it for nothing in the App Store on either Android or indeed on iPhone. And all you got to do is download that, hit subscribe to the OTB Rugby, and you'll get all of Monday Night Rugby, Wednesday Night Rugby. Anytime Brown just goes on, we'll put up whenever Ron O'Gara is on as well. Now, let me tell you, OTB AM is live in association with Gillette. Good morning. Start with Gillette, giving you the confidence to tackle the day ahead. Your attempt to stoke some controversy around Robbie Henshaw just didn't work yesterday, Eoin. I see most people were weighing in going, look, maybe try him at fullback. You know, that's what the New Zealanders would do. And the other one was, yeah, absolutely, have him on the bench. What a great sub to have was the consensus of the tweets that I was looking at.
We tried him at fullback already.
I mean, for a game against England when the entire team was rubbish.
Yeah, like I think that's all we tend to give people. I mean, if Robbie you haven't even given him a game. Like, how long have you given Robbie Henshaw to play his way out of the Ireland team? Basically, maybe that one game against England. Like, is that the game that you're picking that he's not good enough now to start for Ireland? Like, I just think that one game in Test rugby is often used as a stick to beat people with. That is almost the standard. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not so sure. But
I'm not against the idea of trying Robbie Henshaw again at fullback and giving him the month of November and see what happens. Like, you know, it's an issue for us at the moment, and that there isn't somebody who is as good as Rob Kearney was at being a defender back there who can catch the ball under pressure. That's the gold standard, and everybody who comes after that is going to be measured against it. Now, Jordan Larmour is absolutely a much better attacking force at the moment. There's two sides to the game. There's the side when you have the ball, and there's the side when you don't have the ball.
And that's why I think Robbie Henshaw should be starting in midfield, because himself and Gary Ringrose have a great understanding. Robbie Henshaw is our best. I'm just thinking here, is he our best defender amongst the backs that would have been regular starters over the last little while? He'd certainly be in the conversation. And I think at this point, like, we can't necessarily be saying, how are we going to play the most buccaneering style of rugby we possibly can play? It's a matter of how do we bat down the hatches and make sure we proceed with a couple of wins from the Six Nations campaign.
All right, we'll come back to that a little bit later on as well. It's 33 minutes past 8 this morning here on OTB AM. If you've just joined us, you're very welcome. And if you've just joined us, you're just in time, because we've got Graham Hunter with us this morning. Graham, how are you getting on?
Morning, fellas. All good.
This Suarez story has been a remarkable and slightly delicious little piece, a morsel of food for us as we await for the La Liga season to return. And the major beneficiaries, it turns out, are Atletico Madrid. Before we get to all that, are reports of the demise of Luis Suarez somewhat exaggerated?
Depends what the reports say, Ger. Look, the fella's going to turn whatever, is it 34 in January? If you look at last season, his goal average was 1 goal every 122 minutes. That's still top class. If he'd arrived on the scene or throughout his career he'd been scoring at that level, he'd still be regarded as an extremely good striker. You both know, all your listeners know, Luis Suarez has never looked like an Olympic athlete. He's been leaner or slightly more padded throughout his career. And, you know, it's what would you call it? It's fiendish that he's had somebody or other scraping around in his knees or at his ankles relatively constantly over the last 3 years. But his goal total has been extraordinary. His assist total is extraordinary. In terms of brains, football brains, never mind the dark arts, in terms of technique and brains, he's still an elite striker. So there are certain clubs where his lack of pace, his lack of stamina across a month, never mind across 90 minutes, would look a little out of place. In a robust athletic team like Atleti, where it's not the case that he's expected to do no running, but where the service to him can be constant, where his teaching of others where he wants the ball and when he wants the ball, the cutting edge that any team, I heard you talking about scoring tries in the Six Nations, any sports outfit, male or female, any sport, where the process is right, but the end goal is always just a little bit off. You miss the target, you hit the target, the opposition get in the way just as you want them to convert your work. Then the work of the process diminishes because mentally people are like, well, we're not going to convert, so I'll make a different choice. If Suarez can go to Atleti and add teeth to this pretty boisterous machine that they've got behind him, then it can be really exciting. And easily, in my opinion, Suarez to Atleti makes Atleti serious, not favourite, but serious title contenders for the first time in many years.
Yeah, sorry, of course, there's been a couple of rounds back. Atleti and Barca haven't played yet. Real Madrid have played. They've drawn their opening game of the season. The soap opera is something that is always attendant given the amount of newspapers and the massive listened radio shows that happen late at night. And it's always going to be part of this. It's also, like, I really enjoy the fact that the comic book villain is joining Atletico Madrid. It's like the most perfect signing that they could have possibly made from a football perspective, but also from, you know, just this is a unified bunch of people. They believe in the same things.
Are you saying that just like a kid at Christmas unwraps a toy and says to his parents or his carers, does it come with batteries? Are you saying that they unwrap Luis Suarez and say, does it come with a knuckle duster?
Yeah, pretty much.
If that's what you're saying, then I kind of hear you.
Maybe they'll supply him with one. That's the type of people they are here, and they're polishing it for him.
There are some words in this language which are just evocative. So you say Cholo Simeone. Now the image that gets conjured up is of this ferocious arm. You know, he's like a giant condor taking off, and you know, as a player, he was ferocity embodied. So Cholo Simeone. And Diego Costa. There's a certain kind of housery, and it rounds with mitt, that he's famous for. He, like Suarez, doesn't fancy geographical exploration around the green turf of Spain's leagues, not too much. And Costa is another case. And Luis Suarez makes, you know, Costa look like a tortoise compared to, you know, the athletes that they once were. But Costa, let's say this deal to Atleti that I wrote about 2 weeks ago is likely to happen, takes place. He's having a press conference today at your time, 11:30 at Barcelona. I very much hope there's some finger pointing goes on, so that the Luis Suarez show starts today, I hope. But imagine you've had an afternoon of trying to cope with Luis Suarez. It's the 75th minute. You've done well or badly. The team's done well or badly. You see his number going up for the touchline. It's Diego Costa coming on for 15 minutes. There are certain types of defending both in Spain and Europe who are like, right, I'm off. Yeah, boss, take me off as well. So you've got Cholo Simeone, Diego Costa, Luis Suarez, but most importantly, because that's a little bit of fun we've been having there, if you think about Saul and Coque and Angel and Carrasco trying to supply Luis Suarez, with Costa on the rare occasions when it's a double centre forward, João Felix in behind, who I think was second top scorer last season with 6. And that's another key factor. You know, the top scorer numbers have gone down since Griezmann left, but the second top scorer in the last 3 seasons, since 2017, have been, you know, no more than 8 goals, which was Angel. That's not good enough. So the fit is good. I think Suarez can teach the rest of his squad a great deal, in my opinion. I think he's, you know, you both know me really well, and I'm not afraid of saying when I've had to learn. And I had to learn about Suarez when he came. I'd seen him a little bit at Ajax. I'd seen him for Uruguay quite a lot, and I'd watched him, you know, a chunky amount of his Liverpool time. But my eye was drawn to both the fantastic, his goals, and the massive errors, some of his behaviour. I had no idea, and I had to revamp my understanding about exactly how smart he is on the pitch, inventive, creative, and how technical he is. So I had to upgrade my understanding. You take that to Atleti, which is a team waiting to achieve something really big because, okay, they won the Europa League, but they need to win the title. They need to have another shot at winning the Champions League, which they gave up with a whimper last season. I think Suarez they'd love him if they could have bought him at 29, 30. Yeah, in a beautiful world, things go better. You take what's available to you. I think, like you say, Atleti and Suarez, as long as his knee holds up, should be a match made in heaven.
I like the sound of that attack, like Felix and Costa and Suarez. Like 2 men and a baby should be the nickname for that attack for Atletico. How good have Suarez and Costa been throughout their career in terms of nurturing the younger members of their squads and showing them the ways of the world? That particular type of housing that you mentioned there.
Costa would show the ways of the world to the younger players and how to play poker. He's an exceptional poker player. In terms of showing teammates on the pitch about how to behave and how to move, no, he's a man who's very much for himself. Suarez is different. Because we view them as pantomime villains, and because we view them as guys who give referees and central defenders total nightmares, you pair them together for image. But in terms of personality, and maybe even in terms of personality, they're very different. Diego Costa off the pitch is Baloo the bear, mucking around, pranks, trying to bend the rules, winning heaps of money particularly at poker. Very good card player. Luis Suarez is hard. He's tough, but yes, if there's a team, for example, I know specifically which teammates at Liverpool he still talks about in a derogatory way because he didn't rate their attitude, their toughness, their hard winning mentality. Way back, not now. But at Barcelona, to answer your question, for example, when Griezmann was struggling, with Suarez's best mate in life now, not just in football, Messi, it was Suarez who reached out to Griezmann, who bucked him up, who tried to keep him optimistic, who helped him both in public and in private. So that's why I picked on Suarez as somebody who can teach. He can teach those who should be giving more that he's a little bit disappointed in. He'll frighten them into doing more. But the area that I'm talking about is the one where he can help a handful of footballers become smarter, become better able to shave off the little bits that have stopped them from winning big prizes, whether it be winning the derby against Madrid. Listen, speaking personally, I'd back, Suarez completes this move, I'd back Suarez to score for Atleti against Barcelona. I'd back Rakitic to score for Sevilla against Barca. They think that they owe the directors, the president, that, I 2 fingers up in their face. And they'll do it. That's the type of characters they are. So I go back to your point, I think Suarez is a teacher, definitely, as long as he doesn't think you're somebody who's giving 80% or somebody who's a little bit... He's as macho, he's as testosterone full as you'd imagine off the pitch. You have to bring your war face to training, to games, otherwise you'll hear it from him. But anybody that wants to respond will get shown the way of world class, not just the way of the world from Suarez.
I hope he brings all of that with him. Real Madrid obviously started Odegaard, this wunderkind who we've been hearing so much about since the time he was about 12. At the weekend, he played 70 minutes. Is he everything that's been advertised? Obviously, he's been on loan. He's played some senior football. But in a Real Madrid shirt, this is his moment. Is he ready for the big time just yet?
I think so. The key thing to say is that he is at 20 what people were claiming he was at 16. First of all, in life, when you get pushed into a situation you can't handle, I admire people on or off, in or out of sport, who then go back and say, okay, that was a bruising experience. I'm going to learn. I'm going to rebuild the things I found out that were missing from my repertoire when I got put not only out of my comfort zone, but into a place that I couldn't handle. That was Odegaard. Zidane was his coach in the B team when he was pushed through by the club, by the president, and Ancelotti was told he had to play him. It was ridiculous at 16 years and however many 100 days, become the youngest brilliant player. It was wrong. He wasn't ready in any sense. If you look at the way he exploited Dutch football, if you look at the year, the 2/3 of the year he put in at Real Sociedad, the last third having been badly hampered by tendinitis. What we see is a footballer who's confident, who's brave, he shows the ball between lines, he uses the ball well, he's got a harder head, he shrugged off his dad, who was both his boon and his bane as a young man. His dad helped him do things, helped him get his profile up. but his dad also made the decisions that weren't right. Odegaard had said, "Dad, I'm on my own now, leave me alone, I'll look after myself." That's for his good. I think that Madrid have got a powerful midfield if they come across Modric, Casemiro and Valverde. One thing that they want is that explosive, I'll get the ball and I'll drag the other team in the wrong way, or I'll punch holes through the defensive lines. And Isco can't do that. Asensio will largely play wide right, coming on to his beautiful left foot. Odegaard fits a profile that they don't really have, and he's extremely exciting. But you both remember that we don't judge Odegaard on what he does now based on this wunderkind idea. When you go to a club like, and there are clubs all around the world you can make comparisons, but if you go to a club like Barcelona or Real Madrid, you haven't arrived. That's just the beginning. So in how he copes with the pressure, how he copes with the relentless number of games that he didn't have in Holland or Real Sociedad, constant top-class games when European football comes back. We're on a learning journey too. You can't automatically say, Odegaard will absolutely rip it up. Give him this season to bed in. Not that he can't achieve things this season, he definitely can. But a proper judgment to see whether we're talking about an elite European class player, which is what he looks like, you have to give him this season to bed in. A season in which I don't think it's unrealistic to speak of 8 or 10 goals and 10 or 12 assists. And if he's done that, then watch out for the hype next summer.
The transfer business by Madrid has been interesting insofar as they've signed nobody and let 16 players leave this summer. It's one way of approaching it, and if you wanted to put this in a very positive light, Graham, you could say that they're trying to rack up a few pounds for next summer. Next summer then could be the year where Kylian Mbappe has 1 year less on his Paris Saint-Germain contract. Do you think that's part of the strategy that Real Madrid are operating under this summer? Or I say summer, this off-season, I should say.
No, you said it exactly, Owen. It is part of it. One, when everybody was back, the guys they had out on loan, the guys who graduated through the youth system and now got first-team features, the squad was 33 or 34 players at the beginning of this transfer market. You can't have that. It would have been disastrous. The squad was already too heavy for Zidane. He didn't want that. He wants a hard operating system of about 21 players, 22 players. There are kids who came through from the youth system that played last week against Real Sociedad, or at least one came on. No, I think both came on. So what we're talking about is the express wishes of Zidane that he doesn't have people loafing around at training ground going, I'm not playing, I know I'm not playing. But the money thing is equally important. Yes, they want Mbappe. Yes, they expect to sign him next summer. And yes, I think, personally, that unless something dramatic, really dramatic happens, I think Mbappe's a Real Madrid. I do not believe that Mbappe will choose Liverpool as much as they love him. I do believe that Mbappe will choose Real Madrid unless there are real dramas, social, sporting dramas during this year. I think Mbappe moves to Real Madrid to be able to pay for that. Yes, they need to conserve money. And they said at the beginning of the market that they wouldn't be buying players. I doubt that. I think that if they can now, we're into fine-tuning. Well, if they can get rid of Jovic, then I think they do their best to add a centre-forward that can supplant Benzema, play with Benzema. Give them a rest sometimes. They need a 9. And I don't mean a striker, I mean a 9. So I think there's still possibilities of them doing business before October 5th. But you detailed exactly what 50% of the strategy about, which is to get a war chest, meaning we've got the Mbappe saga next summer as Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid fight it out, and people say, Liverpool might still. Nah.
I guess part of that war chest can be accumulated from not having to pay 300 grand a week to Gareth Bale. It lessens the blow somewhat. It's a question that we probably won't know the answer of until a few weeks' time, but can Gareth Bale recapture his 2015-2016 form 4 years down the line?
I don't see any reason why not. Well, there is one reason, which is that we've learned more and more, and the evidence was good even at Spurs in the early days. If his head is right, if his head is focused, I see no reason why Gareth Bale shouldn't be a highly, highly impactful Premier League player. He's in a side where the ball gets moved well. He's in a side which is robust at the back, which is robust, I think, in terms of when they win the ball and how quickly they want to use it. I think the relationship with Kane, in football terms, can be good. I think so. It's clearly going to be about fine-tuning about where Son plays and Bale plays. And that Bale can have several positions. He can play off Kane, that's for sure. He can play right coming onto his left. He can go out onto the left and play like a wide man winger, which is not his preference. So you'd imagine that he slots in at the right of that there's nominally either a front three or two in behind Kane, which is Son and Bale on either side. And it's hugely exciting. And I think if you're asking, was he not being played at Real Madrid because he's gone? No, absolutely not. This is a guy who's only 31. He's played well over 600 games. His goal average at Real Madrid was very high indeed. It's about finding your competitive fitness again, which is diminished, which he's got time to do at Spurs. And then it's about, is he enjoying himself? Is his head right? Because he's a slightly more delicate flower than the players I'm used to admiring. That's just a fact. He's got other concerns in his head. And there's been a dulling of the competitive edge, in my opinion. I think it's still there. At 31, he's still a fantastic athlete. His shooting and passing is still absolutely top class. I think he'll be ahead. And good luck to him too. He's very, very talented.
It's one of the great revenge tours. If you put him and Mourinho together, saying effectively "screw you" to Real Madrid on both their parts. I mean, the chances of it happening are very slim, given that both of them are definitely way off where they were when they were. Bale was the best player in the Premier League. Jose Mourinho was once the best manager in world football. But maybe this is like a Magnificent Seven old style. Let's get the band back together. One last tour.
Well, properly sticking their fingers up Real Madrid's nose, would have to wait till next season if Spurs can make Champions League. And the possibility of Spurs making the Champions League and Bale and Mourinho still being at Spurs, those three things all happening at once to play Real Madrid and properly make the revenge scenario, I'd have my doubts. In terms of going, hey, look over here, we've got a new girlfriend, everything's wonderful, how are you over there? Oh, nothing doing. Okay. Yeah, I can see your point of view. Extending that a little bit, I'm going to be fascinated about how Mourinho feels about Bale. Mourinho is not typically somebody who swallows rejection or disappointment all that well. In my humble opinion, he's a grudge holder. When he was at Manchester United, he obtained permission from Florentino Perez to speak directly to Gareth Bale, and he did. So they spoke on the phone, no intermediaries involved. And Mourinho said, listen, I want you to come to Manchester United. We're building up the money. We'll make a big bid, but you need to come out and say you want to leave Real Madrid. And Bale didn't do it. So therefore, I forget if it was in maybe Washington, in the pre-season friendly between Manchester United and Real Madrid, we got footage of Mourinho in the tunnel saying, I couldn't sign you because you didn't speak. So he was frustrated. He's obviously got a massive asset in Bale, part of which will have been his doing, a bigger part of which will have been Jonathan Barnett and Daniel Levy. So I've got into that voice now, lads. I'll be really interested just to see how well things go between Mourinho and Bale. It's not a euphemism about this is going to go, tetas arriba. I'm saying that this is a euphemism where Bale's going to have to deliver. And if he delivers and everything's sweet, then I can see it being, the land of bees and honey. If things don't go well and Bale isn't doing what Mourinho wants, there's a little memory of you let me down once, and then it could be the winter could be cold.
Well, it's definitely worth keeping a very close eye on. I was unaware. Now that you mention it, that footage rings a little bit of a bell. I'm like, I didn't know that they'd spoken, and maybe Gareth Bale was just
directly
treating him mean to keep him keen.
Call me Gareth. Call me Gareth. Josie doesn't like that. Yeah, he was in the tunnel, if you remember, and he was haranguing him like an angry school, or like, your dinner's in the oven. Your dinner's in the oven. Where you didn't know your dinner's in the dog. Where have you been? And it wasn't an edifying sight. I couldn't sign you because you didn't. Doesn't forget those sort of things, Josie. If things go well and Bale is performing, then it's parked away. It's parked away. No big deal. And I definitely hope that the fit is good, that there's enjoyment to be had in that new stadium, watching Bale flourish. And as much as I would categorise, the thing we all do, if I were in Bale's shoes, what would I be doing? I would categorise myself as a different kind of person. I'd make different choices. But that doesn't negate the fact that when Bale's on form, it's a massive pleasure for people like us to watch him. So I really hope that it's a fruitful union and that there is no need for counselling in 5 or 6 months.
Look, we're completely out of time because we hadn't even got to Barcelona yet. Just one last question: Is the entente cordiale? Has it happened? Is there a little bit of peace? Do we expect at least now the football to take over and Koeman will be given an opportunity to build something for a couple of months, maybe? Does he have 5 or 6 weeks?
That is too big. That's too many questions for one answer for a short time. So I'll just say this to you. For UEFA, I spoke to Koeman yesterday, and at the moment, Koeman is tickled pink with Messi's attitude. Does that mean that all the other things you were asking about are going to go right for Barcelona? I said, listen, if you get nice odds in Villarreal winning at the Camp Nou this weekend, then maybe have a little tickle.
Right. Okay. That's always a good tip from you, Graham. Good stuff. We'll get you on to talk Barca proper afterwards next week. Thanks a million. It's always great information coming from Spain. That Real Madrid team are unbelievably interesting. The quality that they have in their squad is phenomenal, and yet they were like 0-0 with at Real Sociedad last week, and then Barca obviously haven't started yet. Atleti haven't started yet, so La Liga looks pretty interesting, Eoin.
It certainly does. Yeah, it's always an exciting time of year when this gets back up and running. Like Atletico, there's been a lot of lip service paid to them down through the years about how legitimate they can be, even after they've had success. How legitimate of a contender can they be? I think now you have to say, really, the lack of investment that Real Madrid have done in terms of injecting new talent into their squad this summer, it leaves the door wide open for a really big Atletico challenge. They're surely going to be one of the most entertaining sides to watch this season. I'm just happy that I don't support a La Liga team that goes up against Atletico week in, week out. You can kind of be guilt-free in your admiration of how Atletico approach games. Like, I think we all felt a little bit of that when they came to Anfield and beat Liverpool last year.
You say the lack of investment, right? But at the same time, here's their midfield striking options. Casemiro, Valverde, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Martin Odegaard, Isco, Eden Hazard, Junior, Marco Asensio, Rodrigo, Lucas Vazquez, Karim Benzema, Luka Jovic, who they think is going out. Like, can you pick me 6 from that are going to be world class? Yes, you can.
100%. And like someone like Vinicius and playing beside Benzema is already a star-studded attack, because I'm saying that with the idea that Eden Hazard and his injury troubles might become a more prominent fixture, and that Luka Jovic just hasn't slotted in there whatsoever. There's a cherry to be picked in Europe right now is the Luka Jovic signing. Where does he go over the next little while? Because
Eintracht Frankfurt on loan apparently is the latest rumour.
Back to Frankfurt again. He came in with such a high reputation.
If you're a Premier League team, is that not somebody you take a punt on?
You could do, but maybe the Premier League team will look at it very one-eyed and look at West Ham's investment in Sebastian Haller, who was Jovic's teammate, wasn't he? And I guess Haller was just maybe a couple of rungs below him. But I don't know, has the Haller transfer kind of stung Premier League clubs a little bit? I don't think that should be the way, by the way. I think that a Premier League club should be looking at Jovic, a good old-fashioned number 9.
And you get him on loan as well. So it's bang on 9 o'clock this morning here for you. The Nike Football 2021 Liverpool FC third kit has been inspired by the checkered scarves and flags that adorn the Kop at each home game. The gold Premier League winners patch and also the UEFA Champions League winners patch are both available to be printed on new sales of the 2021 third shirt. The new kit is now available to pre-order in store and online, and this morning we have a €100 voucher to give away for the official Liverpool Football Club store in the ILAC Centre. Get over to our Twitter @OffTheBall for a chance to win that prize. We're asking, how many matches did Liverpool win in last year's Premier League? It's time for the papers.
OTB AM.
So the front page of OTBsports.com, it's not just all about him bombing it. This is Stephanie Meadow talking about Bryson DeChambeau and long drive, saying that there's more to his game than that. Munster say academy players tested positive for COVID-19, putting their pre-season training plans making them go a bit awry. Laporte released from custody as corruption case left to prosecutors. An incredible story in France. And then I felt the Tour de France was heading back towards the bad old days. It's Jeremy Whittle talking about the doping scandal that happened in the aftermath of the Tour de France last Monday. And then there's that Wrexham story. Rob Mcelhenny and Ryan Reynolds interested in Wrexham. The back page of the Herald for you this morning. Daly dubs depth vital. So this is recently retired Darren Daly saying that the Dub squad is going to be tested by the fixture plan. United and Porto argue over price for Tevez. So it's not like Manchester United to allow a transfer saga to become public and then argue about the cost of it. The Racing Post, Queen of Listowel. This is Willie Mullen striking with Cabaret Queen in the Kerry National yesterday with Paul Townend on board. Course is set for a bleak winter as Jockey Club hit is revised upwards. Shortfall to rise from previous 75 million estimate. Things not going great. In terms of getting people back into the racing tracks around the world. Irish Independent, back page headline is Mourinho tells Ali to fight for his place. Spurs boss warns midfielder that he can't afford to disappear during heat of battle. And that's something falling in the Ballygarry House Hotel Mayor's novice chase at Listowel yesterday. So Sean O'Keefe on board Western Victory. And obviously Western Victory didn't win. Dundalk target Sheriff upset to set up 3 million shot at glory. So Dundalk playing in the Europa League tonight. Need to win tonight, need to win next week. And then they'll be in the group stages. The Guardian, a very happy Kai Havertz. They say he was electric last night for Chelsea in their 6-0 win against Barnsley in the Carabao Cup. Rugby Union staring into abyss, but it's not all virus. From the Premiership to the grassroots, the game is in peril, but Robert Kitson says not all of its problems can be pinned on the pandemic. That's essentially the conversation that we've been having with Keith Wood and State of the Union about the game before the pandemic, not in a great state because it had been badly mismanaged for a generation and the chickens are coming home to roost. Leave it alone, don't ruin golf to limit Bryson Power. Shane Lowry with the Claret Jug at the Irish Open yesterday in his press conference was saying don't change the game because one player started to bomb the ball. Need to see what's going to happen over the next while. Two medics stood down and probed. There's an investigation into a couple of senior medical staff at Newcastle United. The back page of The Sun. Doom and Zoom. Prem Cup quit threat if EFL do not test players. So worried Premier League clubs will threaten to pull out of the Carabao Cup unless the EFL players agree to be tested for coronavirus, which seems fairly rudimentary, especially when some of the Premier League clubs are offering to pay for it. And Zoom. Hammers join PE with Moyes as boss isolates. This is one of those tenuous things that they make up on the back page of the tabloids. Do you get it, Eoin?
I don't. You're going to have. So what is the?
This is a picture of Joe Wicks. Sorry, I'm going.
Oh, sorry. I see it now.
And this is David Moyes as Joe Wicks. That David Moyes is going to be the new Joe Wicks because he's going to have to take his team through their paces on Zoom. Did you get it? Did you get it?
It's a cunning plan from all involved to come up with that headline.
Did I do the times already? Rugby clubs will collapse if no bailout. And Ryan Reynolds eyes Wrexham. That's that one. Breaking the mould. This is tonight. Sheriff Tiraspol versus Dundalk. Chris Shields is saying that they can win in Moldova. And that's just reports from that one. Dele Alli is going to play tonight in the Europa League. Connor coming back to Derry. Connor Glass is on his way back to Derry, so Derry getting one of their AFL players back. Have-trick hero, that's Kai Havertz. You know, I see what you did there, but it's not amazing. The Telegraph, top flight to agree 250 million EFL bailout, so that's the money trickling down. And look, essentially the newspapers today are kind of in the middle of the week, preparatory phase, match reports. Here's a piece from Tariq Panja. Fearing players wouldn't listen, La Liga appealed to their children. So it's always good to get the kids to guilt the parents into doing some stuff properly. And there's Shane Lowry with the Claret Jug. And finally for now, Monday Night Rugby. I think this is an interesting thing from the Pro 14 and not a bad idea at all. Anything that helps them get a little bit of extra publicity is good. Thomond to host Pro 14's first Monday Night Rugby. So the fixtures were released. Lowry hoping silence will be golden. And John Egan has been talking about the negativity around the Celtic switch for Shane Duffy. See, Gary Breen may not have been impressed by Shane Duffy's move to Celtic, but John Egan sees nothing but good in the switch. I mean, Gary Breen didn't say he wasn't impressed at all. Gary Breen said it was going to be the right thing for him. He did say he might pick up some bad habits. I mean, it's not that outrageous, is it? Right. What do you think, Eoin?
The idea of Gary Breen's pointing this
No. Pro 14 Monday nights. Monday Night Lights.
It's a good shout. I think it makes sense. I think it's, if you're not going to have fans in the ground, how do you turn this into something that you can actually be innovative with and do something new with? And there's going to be a big television audience on a Monday night. There has been a lot of competition for weekend screen time over the last little while. The football is going nowhere. On a Monday night now, in fairness, I said it, as we go into a week where Liverpool are playing Arsenal on a Monday night, so they will still have competition on that front. But I still think it's something cool to try out. I don't think it's going to be there once fans come back. That's certainly the understanding I would have taken from reading about it. But it's something different. It'll be hopefully a bit of a boost to the audience of the Pro 14, a league that still has huge potential. Like Matt Williams is right in a way that we perhaps slam it a little bit too easily. We're right to kind of question the standards.
Yeah, I think that it needs to change and it needs to adapt. And I think it's right to continually interrogate your own systems to try and make them a little bit better. I think, in the middle of this, and so the Southern Kings, one of the South African franchises who were in the Pro 14, went into voluntary liquidation last week. But the South African Rugby Football Union have issued some interesting stuff. So under the Pro 14 umbrella, they have agreed that there will be 2 South African franchises in the Pro 14, at least. South Africa Rugby's long-standing commitments are to field 2 teams in the Guinness Pro 14, and in light of the withdrawal of the Southern Kings, discussions are ongoing about fulfilling this agreement from 2021 using a replacement team from its current professional franchises. Additionally, both Pro 14 Rugby and South Africa Rugby are in early discussions about potentially expanding the tournament and deepening our partnership to include more South African franchises from 2021. This is exactly what we need. Get all the best South African teams into the Pro 14, and suddenly, undeniably, you've got the best league in the world.
If you have the best teams, I don't think it's undeniably. I think that the Super Rugby will have something to say about that. I think the Premiership and Top 14 haven't gone away. I think we definitely trail all 3 of those.
No, yes.
Bit.
But if you add the best South African teams in,
does that automatically take us to the best league in the world?
Yeah. You automatically weaken Super Rugby. So suddenly it's just Super Rugby is just the same Australian teams playing the same New Zealand teams every week.
Not bad though.
Yeah, but not as good as having the South African teams playing in Dublin and Edinburgh and Cardiff. Right. If you want to get in touch this morning, 0879 180 180 is the number. We're going to get John Duggan in to talk about the Irish Open in just a moment. So that's coming in just a second. I'm going to take a quick break.
OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
OTB Sports, in partnership with Cadbury FC, have kicked off a brand new series of in-depth chats with some of the biggest names in football.
Gary Neville just rocks up tomorrow and says, I'll be a coach.
No. The 3rd episode sees Gary Neville and Teddy Sheringham sit down for an in-depth chat, which will be brought to you on OTB social channels and OTB Sports Radio on Monday the 5th of October. Check out CadburyFC.com for updates on promotions and giveaways.
Into sports.
20 yards out, Ursh to shoot, Duncan! Oh, what a goal from Fabinho! Wow!
Then get into the all-new OTB Sports app.
I think when he apologises to me, I probably will say hello to him, yeah. No.
Videos, sports news, live scores, interviews.
If Fabregas is going to come up to me in the street and give me some of the mouth that he would have given me on a football pitch, what do we get a slap?
Plus exclusive content on the OTB Podcast Network. The biggest names in sports. Ready when you are. Search OTB Sports on your app store and download it now.
OTB AM.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
What's better than one virtual insanity? Why 2 virtual insanities? John Duggan, good morning to you. How are you?
Good, Ger, and Eoin. Good morning.
We have
It's the Winston Churchill sign.
PGA Tour and also the Irish Open is on this week. It's a very different Irish Open. It's not part of the Rolex series. 10 of the world's top 50 aren't here. John Rahm's not defending it, but Shane Lowry is here, and it's our tournament all the same.
It's the national championship, obviously for quarantine rules. It's in Ballymena, a Galgorm Castle. This place hosted a Challenge Tour event for many years, the Northern Ireland Open. So there's players in the field who have experience of winning here at Galgorm Castle. It's a parkland course. From reading everybody and hearing everybody in the last few days, you've got to drive the ball straight off the tee. You've got to find the fairway at Galgorm Castle. If you do that, like Dean Burmester from South Africa has done, he's 3 under par early doors, you do have a chance of making hay. But you've got to drive the ball straight. The rough is up. It's going to be windy. It's going to be wet. I don't think the scores are necessarily going to be 20 under par. I think it could have some tricky holes for a lot of golfers. So we've got 11 Irish in the field, 120 in the field. Prize money obviously down to 200,000 for the winner. Not a Rolex Series event, but Shane Lowry hasn't seen the course until this week. I know he's favoured, but that would maybe put me against him. You got players like George Coetzee, who's in great form. Lucas Herbert's coming back from the US Open. Ryan Fox is a previous winner here in the Challenge Tour event. And then it's going to be great to see like the likes of Paul Dunn, who's had an injury with his hand, and Padraig Harrington contend, Cormac Sharvin, who was the best Irish player last year. Look, it's a bit of a journey into the unknown over the next 4 days, but I think it's good that we have a national championship. It was meant to be the Ryder Cup this week, but it's good that we have something.
Okay, so notwithstanding the fact that the field is not as high as it should be, we do have the Ryder Cup captain. We do have the reigning Open champion as well. You see the pictures of the paper of Larry with the claret jug. Do you expect them to contend? Because we know they both are former Irish Open champions, but they both have also talked about the pressures. Like Shane Larry won it before there was any pressure on him to perform. In fairness to Harrington, he did manage to do it when there was one of those years when he was essentially carrying the tournament on his back. What do you expect from them and from the higher profile Irish golfers?
I expect them to play well, but I don't expect them to win or contend. Harrington is 49 years of age now. It's unusual for a player of that age to be winning European Tour events. Hasn't played that much this year. Had his whole head in the Ryder Cup. We remember last year at Lahinch, that brilliant opening day. Couldn't keep it going for the 4 days. Expect him to do well, but not necessarily contend. Larry has been tinkering with his clubs, changing some of his clubs in his bag. Was only okay at the US Open last week. Found it a very difficult test. The whole rigmarole of having to travel back to Ireland, going into a European Tour bubble, which they've managed very well since they came back after lockdown. Only one player, Alexander Levy, has tested positive for COVID. I just think it's going to be difficult for him not seeing the course. Like Cormac Sharvin, who's one of my 4 selections on OTB Sports on the app and on Virtual Insanity, has played the course twice in the Challenge Tour and been in the top 10 twice. He's a very accurate driver off the tee. He's 90 to 1. I'll be much more interested in Cormac Sharvin, who was the leading Irish player last year at the Irish Open and is from the area, than I would be necessarily interested in Larry and Harrington. I think Jonathan Colwell could do well. Once again, a local guy that has shown spots of form on the European Tour the last while. But the likes of Ryan Fox, who's won here before. Lucas Herbert is a very talented golfer from Australia, won the Dubai Desert Classic earlier this year. George Coetzee is playing out of his skin. You're looking at these kind of form players, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody comes out of left field and wins. And we have had shock winners of the Irish Open in the past. David Carter, I remember, Patrick Sholin down in Ballybunion one of the years. So it's not a tournament that necessarily always delivers a marquee winner.
No, it isn't. The last couple of years, obviously, having John Ram in the field has really helped. And the fact that he has used that as a springboard to go on and become one of the best golfers in the world has been no harm to the actual event itself. Dean Burmester,
from South Africa, yeah.
4 under now
wow.
through 7 holes. So he is burning it up. Not for him any concerns about the crappy weather that we're having. Again, like the weather gods have conspired to not help, because this is a week where Irish golf gets the opportunity to flash around the world and go, hey, look how amazing golf is in Ireland. Not that anybody can come in the immediate short term, but the weather is not helping. So anybody else you're looking out for here?
Well, my main selection was Vil Besseling of the Netherlands. Of course, how could it not be him? Vil Besseling, once again, played on that Challenge Tour event at Galgorm Castle, and twice he was in the top 10, including a round of 63 in one of the final rounds when he finished. And he's been playing very, very well on the European Tour. Of all the market leaders, he's the top man for greens and regulation among all the market leaders. He's 35 to 1. He's playing his best golf. I think he was, 5th 2 tournaments ago. and 14th last week. All of his rounds at the Portugal Masters were under par. Vil Besseling from the Netherlands, I think each way at 35-1. He's definitely one I'm watching. Lucas Herbert, look, golf is about, as we saw with Matthew Wolff and Bryson DeChambeau last week, golf is about natural talent in the main. And if you're young and if you've got the natural talent and if you're fearless, you definitely have a chance. Lucas Herbert played pretty well at the US Open, only 31st, but didn't have any completely disastrous rounds. Played very well in the wind when he won the Dubai Desert Classic. He had 5 top fives 2 years ago in his rookie season on the European Tour, Lucas Herbert. I think the Australian is one of these talented players. Probably, like if you think about a horse race, he's a class act in the field, one of the class acts in the field, Lucas Herbert, and I tipped him, I think at about 28-1.
Yeah, 28-1, yeah.
Each way. And then the other two I liked were Cormac Sharvin, I've mentioned at 19-1. I think he's definitely a good price, possibly to make the frame. And Robert Rock, if there's any tournament or any player that's owed something, it's Robert Rock. Got the $500,000 when Shane Lowry beat him in the playoff at Baltray in 2009, was then second at a Parkland course like this one to Paul Casey in 2013 at Carton House. And then last year shot a 60 at the third round of Lahinch and finished in the top 5. Robert Rock has stared down Rory and Tiger at the Abu Dhabi Championship, so nerves won't be an issue. He's 43 years of age. I mean, it's unlikely he's 80-1, but he does have good fond memories of the Irish Open, and he did play well. He was in the top 5 in Lee Westwood's tournament back in July, so once again, a little bit of recent form for Robert Rock. So after examining the field, you could have a winner here that you'd never heard of. And sometimes it works that way with the Irish Open, but they're the ones I've gone for.
All right, and you have a column out today, John, talking about...
Yeah, we just spoke about it there, Ger and Eoin, before the break on this is on the app, the OTB Sports app, on the Gary Breen and Kenny Cunningham, and they're pundits. They're paid to have an opinion, and obviously they have an opinion, and it's fine, completely, absolutely fine to disagree with their opinion. But some of the reaction to it I found completely over the top. Like Gary Breen, I was on the show with him, made a very reasonable point that Shane Duffy would find it easier playing against forwards in Scotland than he would in the Premier League. And
he's going to come up against a better quality of... I mean, this is shocking. This is shocking.
And I thought it was a very reasonable point. The Chinese whisper began. Celtic fans went bananas about it. Then it gets turned and twisted and it grows legs, and then it ends up in Neil Lennon's press conference. So, to me, and it's in the column, it kind of struck me as a degree of insecurity from a certain section of Celtic fans about the fact that Scottish football is not as competitive in Europe as it once was. We'd love Celtic to be winning European Cups. We'd love them to be beating Barcelona which they did a few years ago, but it's not happening at the moment. And of course, there are players like Edouard, who plays with Shane Duffy, that would cope in the Premier League. And you've had success stories, Kieran Tierney, Van Dijk, we all know that. You're going to have success stories out of Scotland. But the quality of player that Shane Duffy is facing now against Ross County is not the same quality as we're facing in the Premier League playing for Brighton. That is pretty much a factual thing. That's what Gary Breen said. The reaction was over the top. The reaction to what Kenny said, I knew when he said it on Sunday that I think, oh, that's a bit of a left field, a bit of a contrarian opinion to what most people would think about Thiago's impact and imprint on Bayern Munich over the last few years as a really creative player in midfield. Kenny had a view about his defensive qualities. Okay, he might be proved wrong. We'll see over the basis of the season. But just some of the reaction, not the well-informed contrarian opinions, but some of the reaction to what Kenny said, I thought were completely over the top, to the point of view where they're actually hilarious. And people are saying that now you've made the Irish accent uncool, comparing him to a guy, a friend of Fonz and Happy Days. Stuff from Durban, from India, and just the pile-on I thought was just a bit funny.
Luckily, Kenny or Gary aren't actually on social media, so hopefully it doesn't matter to them. Great column. It's on the OTB Sports app. John, good stuff. Thanks very much for that. Now we want to turn our attention to the Irish women's national team, and I'm delighted to say Louise Quinn is with us. Louise, good morning to you. How are you getting on?
Morning. How's things?
Good, thanks. What's your recovery been like from the game against Germany?
Yeah, getting there. Just about recovered. Was a real tough slog from us, I think, kind of both mentally and physically, really. But yeah, listen, I think that was a game that we learned the most that we could have learned, to be honest, about ourselves, about the standard that you would hope to get to, or that we should expect if we want to qualify for the Euros. We're going to be playing similar teams like that again. So you've really got to be able to step up to the mark in those situations.
How do you prepare mentally in the build-up to the game? Because like there's a shout that Germany are the best team in the world right now, that their form over the last year suggests they, irrespective of results in the last World Cup, that actually they're the very best team. So you're trying to go out there and make sure that you can perform as a group to get a result. You're trying to get your own game into a place where you're like, okay, some of these forwards are actually, again, the best forwards, and these midfielders are some of the trickiest midfielders I'm ever going to come up against. So how do you prepare for a game that you're expected to lose, while at the same time trying to prepare for the best possible outcome?
Yeah, I think you've kind of just got to look to yourself, I guess, and try just get your best performance out, something that you're pleased with, that you try win your 1v1 battles, that you compete, and almost that you try be the best footballer you can on that day, and then hope as well that it all comes together as a team, to try make that happen. You never go into any football game thinking that that you're going to lose. What's kind of the point in that? But we knew the task ahead of us was incredibly hard. We had kind of set goals obviously at the start of the campaign about games that are probably the most vital, and then obviously for us, if you wanting to go get a result, and then obviously if you get a result out of Germany, that is a massive boost. So you kind of go into the game with kind of that thought of we don't have a whole lot to lose here, but we have so much to gain if we can get a result, or if we can play well and do something. So I think that was kind of our thoughts, and we just wanted to do our best under the circumstances. We haven't seen each other in months. I think even everyone's leagues are obviously starting at different times. The amount of games you have under your belt, it was really difficult, and you could see then that the German league was one of those that actually was still able to continue kind of during some of the height of COVID. So you knew that a lot of their players were going to be fit and sharp. But that's us. That's the card, or the hand we've been given. So we just wanted to go in and give it our all, really.
There was a very defined plan on Saturday, Louise, and I guess in the build-up to this game, the qualifying run had been based on games that you were expected to go out and win. So not only are you facing into a game where you've got to come up with a completely different approach, as you mentioned there, it's right on the back of a pandemic. How difficult was it to come up with that new plan, or was it something that you had actually worked on in the past?
I think it was obviously something that like Vera and Aishling had already been looking into. But then, I think I'm sure they watched every German game that they could possibly find ever during lockdown. But I think from what we had seen, they figured out exactly how they can play, and then it's up to us as the players to figure out if we can kind of stop that. So they did, try to set us up in that way that would find difficult. And I think in the second half, we proved that we were able to handle it a little bit more. They maybe took their foot off the gas a little bit, being 3-0 up at half time. But I think for us, it was a real positive that, we went in at half time. And it's something where you've got to say, we need to fix this. This is about us improving and figuring out the problems. Why are they causing us so much problem when we actually kind of know what they're going to do? And so that's what, for the second half, I think for us structurally, I think you could see that we were definitely more together and could understand their movements a bit more. So for me, that was a huge positive to be able to improve so much in 45 minutes. Yeah, standard that they may have taken the foot off the gas a little bit, but I think they still got just as many attacks as they did in the first half. So, for me, that's just a massive positive to be able to take from that.
What actually gets said in the change rooms at half time?
Need to think back. I think it was all quite, calm. I think we had, obviously to go 3-0 down at half time, and especially some of those goals being so close to then to half time as well. It was just that. It was calm down. Let's look at our game plan. Let's see where they're causing us problems. We could see that they were just kind of shifting us everywhere. Their movement was was incredible. That top six could kind of move whatever way they wanted, and then the fullbacks came and joined in as well. So it was incredible, overload of players, I think, especially down our right side. So it was about just figuring out where maybe players can pass players onto defenders, when we have to stay, when we have to go. And it was actually just good information. We looked at a couple of video clips as well, just so we could visually kind of see what's going on, because it was tough to see their movement. So it was just good information to tidy us up and to keep pushing, and to, I think we did create a couple of good kind of counter-attack moments, but then it's just about being smart with them then as well.
And then afterwards, because the floodgates didn't open, because that second half is strong, is there at least some kind of positivity? I know it's a 3-0 defeat and it's hard to kind of immediately think of it, but certainly the conversations afterwards were like, look, actually, you know what? It is a learning curve, and we do have ambitions to match this team at some point, but we're not quite there yet for a bunch of different reasons. Was there enough positivity coming out of it that everybody can feel like, there's some signs of progress there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think under the circumstances as well, we were able to get, everyone through a game. 90 minutes, as I said, we haven't been able to maybe get as much games, and that's across the board, that's across Europe. But to then get a very good intense 90 minutes, out of Germany was a good success for us as well. And yeah, for us, it's exactly, I think we'll definitely look to that second half. But for me, it's that first half was just as important as, as devastating as it was. And we of course we're going to take positives. That's for us the next game is the massive one. So, and I think we have so much to take from that last game that would be it'd be a shame not to take some of the positives from us, as maybe the scoreline didn't show us, or maybe some of what we did, but in a team and after the game, as at least if we could come in being satisfied, know that we literally emptied the tank. I think you can see at the end of the game that a lot of us were huffing and puffing and hands on knees, and that was because literally we gave it everything. And for me, that's a positive against probably the team that's more than likely going to win the Euros, that have built something, have improved incredibly since the World Cup. So for us, it was I think we were just trying to see what we could get out of each other, and that's going to be so important going into Ukraine next month.
There's a lot of other things that we wanted to chat to you about actually before, because obviously we can talk to you again in advance of the Ukraine game. It's been a really interesting summer for women's football. So you've got the big money signing, Alex Morgan joining Spurs, and some other transfers happening that suggests the Women's Super League is actually going to evolve into something really meaningful in terms of the level of coverage that it gets, but also the quality of footballer that it can attract. And at the same time, we've had the debate. I saw you retweeting Micah Richards talking about how good a pundit Alex Scott is. I don't want to say that there's been an arrival over the summer, but certainly in English football consciousness, and that's the football culture that we consume the most of, there's been a bit of an awakening. Yeah,
I just think it's it was only time. You could really see that already, that there's some of the best European players there. And then, also for me, I guess it was just one of those opportunities. Generally from America to Australia, they tend to go over to their leagues quite a bit when one season is in the off season. So when the American season is on, quite a few Australians go there, and then vice versa. So because borders are closed, obviously that kind of opportunity wasn't there. So they started to look elsewhere. And for me, that they looked exactly to where there is a massive league growing, the potential, the talent, the attention, the name to play for Arsenal, to play for United, to play for Tottenham, is huge. So you can just see that this is now an opportunity then, and for them to kind of challenge themselves in Europe. So because for me, that's where the biggest challenge lies now in women's football as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. That's the thing. Part of it is a shame that some of them are only going on loan, only going to be here until December, so they're really only going to get a handful of games. But hopefully, it kind of gives that taster, and the same then for clubs to be able to build up that reputation that a player like Alex Morgan can go to Spurs, and players like that can go to City, and it's hopefully only just going to to grow it and keep improving and making it better.
Like everything in football, it's both a threat and an opportunity for Ireland in terms of getting players into that league. It would have been our first port of call in many cases. Now that's going to be more difficult, but equally the players who do make it are going to be playing and training with better quality players. So is it something we just need to be ready to take advantage of and not be scared of? Or is it actually something that we need to start thinking that's not going to be an outlet for us as much into the future? And going off to Italy is a great example of other opportunities that we should be trying to get our players into leagues like that.
Well, no, of course, I don't think they should be scared. It's one player, maybe two players that have gone to a team, and at the same time, yes, their names are so big, but they're not the team. That's not what they're going to base that around, or for me, it's obviously all about that squad. So any players that are good enough, and if they have the opportunity, is take it with both hands. And yeah, if you get to play with Alex Morgan, fantastic. That's an added bonus. But at the same time, she's still a Spurs player. She's still got to work her way into that team as well, to see if she suits kind of the English team style of football, because it's very, very different. And I think it is going to be a big shock kind of to some of them coming in, and in a great way. So I feel like it's whatever opportunities are there. If there's opportunities to go to Italy, Germany, France, I just think it's girls, women just need to put themselves out there, put themselves in the best situation that they can to be the best professional player they can and get the best out of them. But yeah, if they can, we're Irish, we can play wherever we want as long as we put in the hard work. We'll do our best to make it good.
It probably hammers home the importance of having a strong domestic league as well, Louise.
Yeah, of course, and that's always seems to be a bit of that constant battle. That you want, the league to keep improving, and I know that is kind of tough to say when maybe some of the the top players in that league do go abroad, but there's still so much work that can be done in that league to make it even semi-professional or just more easier for the girls that want to play. And there's still so many Irish girls that are in the Irish team and that completely deserve to be in the Irish team. But if they just had that step up from the next level that the Irish league can take, that's what we have to do. I'm not even sure that there's a sponsor at the moment. That's, for me, that's it's not good enough at the moment. Is how we are growing women's football, and how the national team, you can see the massive improvements. But we need it as an overall. We need it from the grassroots coming up. We need it for the players that are already currently playing in the league. So for me, that's something that again really needs to be looked at, and not just bypassed again.
I presume you're not going to go as far in the Alex Morgan transfer as saying that the balance of power in North London is going to be shifted in any shape or form. Arsenal have started the season very, very well.
No, they've been excellent, and I've watched all their games. I've been chatting to the girls still, and it's not surprising me what they can do. So I think just for them, and I think Arsenal are very good at playing every team. I think it is just that little bit of struggle with the top team. So I feel like if they can just kind of change that shift, or that kind of mentality, I think it's completely in their hands. But they've been just kind of just destroying teams at the moment, and and you can see now that Gilroy is the one kind of making the headlines now, and she's just again one of those another fantastic Dutch players that's coming through, and yeah, so it's going to be an exciting season. But yeah, I'm definitely a fangirl now, definitely.
Just a quick one then of not fangirling, but actually being a centre back of a team now. It is Fiorentina. Great win before the international break. You beat local rivals Fiorentina 3-2. You're top of the league.
Yeah, top of the league at the moment. That was one of those derby games, really, really tough game that we went in 2, it was 2-0, and then just, that's one of those dodgy score lines, and we gave away a penalty, and it really started to shift. But we gritted through it, and for me, I'm just obviously we really do have like a great team. For me, the midfield is just filled with some of the best footballing players that I've kind of been around, and it was, for me, it's just super positive because we played one game before starting the season. 2 got cancelled because of one with COVID related, and then another because there was a fire beside the pitch we were supposed to be playing at. So for me, going into a league with only one game under our belt, I was apprehensive, just in general to have played one game before starting a league, and but I just think how we've been able to manage the game, and just go in, and now 3 wins out of 3, and scoring a lot of goals. So for me, it's we have a big couple of weeks now ahead. To be honest, we have two of the top teams coming up, one being Sassuolo and then the next then being Juventus. So that's going to be massive games for us.
And how's your Italian?
I'm going for my first lesson today.
Right.
So no, I've been trying to pick it up as much as I can. I'm not giving you as an example yet.
As long as you got the swear words, that's all you need for football, right?
So I've taken in as much as I can and trying to learn, kind of everything myself, and just standing in beside the conversations and just like listening.
And have you got the gestures? Are you like?
Yeah, it's everything. Pasta, football, it's just always all of that. Very passionate. But yeah, so first lesson today. So yeah, I'll be fluent now in a few weeks.
Well, listen, we'll get you on in a couple of weeks to preview the Ukraine game, and you can do it all in Italian if you want at that point.
Yeah. That just might not be good for you guys, though.
Thanks a million, Louise. Cheers. Ciao, I should have said. Right, we want to tell you about a new podcast from 20 by 20. It's called Choose What's Next. It's focusing on where women's sport goes from here. It's available on 20by20.ie and is well worth your time. I want to remind you about this as well. OTB Sports, in partnership with Cadbury FC, have kicked off a brand new series of in-depth chats with some of the biggest names in world football. The third episode sees Gary Neville and Teddy Sheringham sit down for an in-depth chat about their time at Manchester United. It's going to be brought to you on OTB social channels and on OTB Sports Radio on Monday, the 5th of October. Check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. Now, if you don't have the OTB Sports app already, make sure you search OTB Sports in the App Store, because here's what's coming up on OTB Sports Radio today. Cora Staunton sitting down with Nathan Murphy from 1 o'clock on OTB Gold. Live at 2, it's Golf Weekly, talking about the US Open, obviously last week, but also the Irish Open this week. State of the Union at 3 is Jerome Garces and John Lacey talking about refereeing and the laws of the game, in particular with Keith Wood. Our retro panel is Tyrone GAA. That was a classic, from 4 o'clock. At 6, it is Sonia Sullivan at our Cork Roadshow on OTB Gold. And then obviously the lads are back from 7 o'clock tonight on Off the Ball on News Talk. Up next, we're chatting to Bellator MMA fighter Kiefer Crosbie.
OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
All right, delighted to say we are joined now by Irish MMA fighter Kiefer Crosbie. Kiefer, you're very welcome to the show. How are you getting on?
I'm getting on great, mate. Thanks for having me.
So your next Bellator fight, it's up against Charlie Leary in Milan on Saturday, October 3rd. It's going to be almost 8 months since you were last in the cage for Bellator. I'd say you're absolutely excited to get back in there.
Oh, stop, man. I didn't think I'd see another fight this year with all this COVID happening, but yeah, I'm delighted I get to actually step back in and fight again this year. So I'm just so grateful that I'm in a position that I get to go out there, do what I do best, to make some money and fight again. Yeah, so thank God, and big thanks to Bellator for setting it all up and making it happen. Yeah.
I was at your event in February in the 3 Arena.
Kiefer, Kiefer was unbelievable.
18 fights in the card tonight, and I roof off the place more than anybody, yeah? It speaks for itself, the biggest draw here, so I love my people, yeah, I love my people. I carry these flags on purpose. Dublin, Ireland, I'm just a man of the people.
Crosbie is a Dublin lad, born and raised, absolutely fucking warrior of a chap. Goes in there, puts on a show, takes it no bother. He's just a warrior of fire, absolute deadly warrior.
It felt that night, Kiefer, like you were the main event. The crowd was going absolutely crazy for you. And I guess to contrast that to what you expect to have in Milan must be particularly interesting from your perspective, because you always seem to really feed off the energy of a packed crowd in Dublin.
Yeah, well, Dublin's Dublin. Do you know what I mean? Dublin's a unique place to fight. You know what I mean? Especially when I'm fighting, because I'm obviously from Dublin. You know what I mean? And you know, it's a different buzz altogether. But like, this is going to be the complete opposite. It's going to be silence. It's going to be just two men in a cage fighting. And to be honest, there's something I really like about that as well. You know, this sport is it's not just always spectacle. Do you know what I mean? It's not always the crowd. It's not always glitz and glam is what people think it is. I get in there and I fight with my heart and I fight with me techniques. You know what I mean? Because I'm a fighter. So I'm actually looking forward to getting in there and just no crowd, no selling tickets, no anything. Just get in there and fight like a dog, and that's what I'm looking forward to in this one. And I can, you know, be able to hear him breathing and hear the shots connecting, and actually for once hear me corner speaking, because normally in Dublin I can't hear nothing. You know what I mean? It's like fighting in a rock concert or something. It's too loud. So I'll actually be able to hear John speaking to me for once. So it might be something a bit different, yeah.
That's a huge advantage, I'd imagine. If you've got someone as good as John Kavanagh in your corner, that ability to be able to hear everything he's saying, that surely can't be a disadvantage anyway going into this fight.
Yeah, well, obviously having John in the corner, do you know what I mean? It's especially if we're in positions that, like in a clinch position or a ground position, John's a genius at all these kind of scenarios, and he always just seems to say the right thing. You know what I mean? He's a man of few words, but in those few words, what he says makes sense in the moment. And you know, he's a genius martial artist. So it's always great to have him in the corner, calling the shots. You know what I mean? So.
Like, it is at the same time going to be a great moment when supporters do get back into these big fight nights. And like, I guess it's such a good point that you make there about not having to sell any tickets. But the positive spin on it is that you don't probably need to find that extra ounce of energy. Like, could you try and describe that to us when you are the hometown fighter, when you are in a big Bellator card in Dublin? How big is that energy boost that you feel coursing through your veins when you go out there?
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, so many people ask me to describe it, and I genuinely think it's undescribable. I can't, do you know what I mean? It's almost like trying to explain what a skydive feels like, do you know what I mean? You can't explain it, you just got to experience it, and obviously people can't experience what it's like to be me walking out in front of all my people, but it is an indescribable feeling. I don't know what it feels like. It doesn't feel like real life when I'm in there, and after it, looking back, it's almost like that was me that did that, you know what I mean? But it's very humbling, and you know, I'm a man that, like, I understand I'm not going to be doing this forever, so I know I'm going to get to an age where I'm like 60, 70, and I'm going to look back, and these are the moments in my life that define me, and I take that into consideration before I jump in there, do you know what I mean? So I try soaking in as much as I can, embrace it, and really take it all in as much as I can, and really appreciate it, do you know what I mean? Because it won't last forever, you know what I mean? But it's one of the best feelings in the world, you know what I mean? I'm very, very grateful that, you know, I have so much support, especially in my own hometown, and I just feel like a king when I'm walking out, you know what I mean? It's like, I just feel like a gladiator going to war for my people, and they're all there with me, and it's like, there's no beating an Irish man when you're fighting in Ireland, you know what I mean? It's just, it's very hard to do that, and I just love it, you know what I mean? It's something else. I mean, you've been to the events, yeah, even being in the crowd, it's like, hard to explain, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just one of the best feelings in the world, eh?
Yeah, like, it's interesting you said it. Like, even I did a piece speaking to fans after the last Bellator event in Dublin and kind of asking them what was their highlight of the night, and your name came up more than any other fighter. Like, not just getting the win and being a hometown fighter, there's something else that fans seem to enjoy when they watch you or connect with you or something. Have you ever been able to put a finger on that?
I just think it's these model good looks, to be honest. You know what I mean? The ladies love it, and the men, they also love it in a different way. I don't know, to be honest. I just think it's that I'm
no bollocks. I don't know. I say it, I'm going to say it until the day I die. There's nothing special about me. I'm just doing my thing, you know what I mean? I literally don't come from a big privileged background. I don't come from money. I don't come from anything but hard work and self-belief. You know what I mean? I come from failure as far as I'm concerned. I was born to fail and I was raised to fail, and now I'm created to win, and I've done that in my own mind. And I'm from the inner city of Dublin. Where I come from, people like me aren't supposed to make it big, and that's motivation enough for me to make it big. And I just ride that out in my own mind every day. Do you know what I mean? I wake up happy and grateful, and my road could have gone a completely different route, like a lot of my friends in the past have, and a lot of people I grew up with have, and it hasn't. I took myself off course and I went down this route of positivity and hard work and discipline and martial arts and eating well and just living the martial arts lifestyle, and then going out and signing myself up for this type of, these situations and fighting and telling John I want to be a world champion and speaking out loud and you know what I mean, put myself in the gym every single day, twice a day. No one works harder than me. Do you know what I mean? I don't give a shit anyone says. You know what I mean? I'm one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet, and that's why I'm winning, and that's why I'm getting on the main cards, and that's why I'm getting good contracts, and then I think that's why people are connecting and going, okay, well, hold on, this is something special. I'm just a young fella from town that's good at martial arts from hard work, and then I go out and I represent me people, and I represent the people like me. And again, I'm not going to get too big for me boots. I don't give a shit if I make millions from this. If I get turned into a big superstar, you'll catch me floating around town grabbing a coffee. You'll catch me going down to me Ma's Gap on a Sunday. You'll catch me, you know what I mean? I'm never going to be too big for the people. I'm a man of the people, not above but equal.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing me. Do you know what I mean? And again, I don't know why people like it, but I appreciate it so much. I really, really do. So.
Yeah, I think that's actually exactly it. The last thing you said there, kind of being one of the people. I think one of the quotes from the fans I was talking to that night was, "He's one of us." I think that was an actual direct quote. It's really interesting what you say there. That line about being born to fail but created to win. What was the path that changed? What was the moment that changed in your life where that creation began?
Just experience, you know what I mean? Life experience, mate. I've been through it all. I don't ever delve into my personal life too much on social media or talk about me own, because it's personal. I believe personal life should be personal. Yeah, I think too many people love to speak about their personal life and then it's not personal anymore. But I've been through some magic in my life. I've been at rock bottom more than once. You know what I mean? I've lived that rock bottom. I've been broke as fuck. I've had no money. I've had to do to get by, and I come from very, very little. Do you know what I mean? And where I come from, you're either going to be a waster, a failure. You're going to do drugs. You're going to sell drugs. You're just going to do shit that you shouldn't do. And for me, I've failed enough that I thought, well, why not just stop failing and just stop feeling sorry for yourself and actually get up and work harder than anybody, because hard work has to pay off. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't fail if you just keep working at it. You can't fail if you just keep showing up every day, no matter what it is, whether it's a job, whether it's a sport, whether it's whatever you want to do. If you just keep showing up and working harder than everybody, well, eventually it will pay off. And I mean, I'm going back to even 2018. I've had no money. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not too long ago. That's 2 years ago. I've been grafting at this since 2013. So if you think about it, man, I've been putting in serious graft for the years before Bellator. And now people are starting to say, oh, now he's a somebody. Now he's starting to make a few quid. Now he's like on the main card. But I've had nothing up until that point. I couldn't afford milk in 2018 for my daughter, for cereal. True story. You know what I mean? And I remember nearly breaking down with thinking, how the f am I going to pull this off? And then opportunities come, and when they do, you got to jump at them, and you got to grab them, and you got to strangle them, and you got to make sure that you're going to win. And you just got to, don't be in denial. Work harder than everybody. And that's what I've done. I'll be a world champion. You know what I mean? I truly believe that.
That's very interesting, the transition between 2013 and 2018 then, because I guess in a way, Kiefer, the standard of opponent now is the great difficulty, but the great difficulty up until 2018 is an entirely different difficulty. It's trying to motivate yourself every day to try and realise the dream of actually fighting some of the best mixed martial artists in the world. How did you keep that going? How do you motivate yourself on a daily basis in those 5 years?
One, mainly because I love it. You know what I mean? That's the other thing. I mean, I'm not doing this for anyone else's sake but mine. I've been doing martial arts since I'm 10 years of age. I've been doing it since way before it was cool, or way before it was on the telly, or way before everyone knew what it was. You know, I love martial arts, and that's the main thing. I think that's the root of success. You have to love what you do. Yeah, you have to be excited to go to the gym, or be excited to go to your job, or excited to do whatever it is. If you're not excited and you don't love it, truly love it, you're never going to reach the top, because you're always going to hold back and be like, I don't really want to do this today, or I'm not feeling it this time. I love martial arts. It's all I think about. It's all I do. I'm obsessed with it. I study every day. I practice every day. I train hard. I'm always trying to get better. I'm watching fights from every organization, watching every martial art. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. So, and that's mainly what motivates me, is that it's a never-ending learning cycle. I'm just always learning every day, every single day. And I'm excited to fight. I love fighting. I love having this fight coming up. I love that there's an opponent out there looking at me, coming for a way to beat me. You know what I mean? I love the way I'm on his mind, he's on my mind, and we're now going to go into battle, and that's part of it as well. I love it. I live for that. And going to bed at night and you're thinking of ways that the fight's going to go, and that's my life. I love that. You know what I mean? And I pride myself on being like a warrior. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what I live that life. It's not just a part-time hobby to me. That's number one. Number two, I mean, there is goals I want to achieve also. You know, I'm not just doing it for a quick payday and a few handy fights. I'm working my way up the ladder the safe way, the smart way, step by step, fight by fight. And then after this one, I want to step up again. I want all these so-called UFC veterans that everyone's speaking about. I want Miles Jury. That's who I want. Him. He's coming off a few wins. That's a good name. He's coming off a few wins. And that's who I want to be thrown in the mix with these people. I want my name to be remembered forever as one of the greats and one of the best martial artists. And after him, again, just all these so-called UFC veterans that came off the Bellator, I'll take them all out one by one and show how good I am. But again, there's a task at hand next week with Charlie there. He's a tough veteran. He's a tough boxer. He's not an easy fight by any means. So I'm taking him very serious, and I plan on going out there and dismantling him and moving on and moving up. So that's my plan.
It really sounds like you study the details of the game a lot more than most of your contemporaries at the moment. Is coaching something that you've looked at? Is it something that you're interested in pursuing? I guess it's hard to not have a singular focus when you're a fighter and think about what happens next, but is it something you've considered?
I actually grew up coaching, believe it or not. So I've been coaching since I was 13. I got kicked out of school when I was 15, and from when I got kicked out of school, I went straight into full-time teaching martial arts in the local martial arts club. So when I was kicked out of school, all my friends were in school, I was in the gym teaching kids classes and teaching adults classes and teach like one-on-one. So I've been teaching since I'm a kid. And I am a natural teacher as well. I always try to help my teammates out. They'll always ask me questions. I like teaching as well. It's part of who I am. And I again believe that if you can teach something, you can improve on it as well. And it's, the best jiu-jitsu, practitioners are the ones that can teach you how to do something. If you train with someone like Dylan Dennis, or you train with someone like John Kavanagh, John Kavanagh, he can teach you something, but he can also perform on the mats. Do you know what I'm saying? Connor's is the very same. If I ask him something about a technique, he can teach it so well because he just understands it so well. And then you go see him do it, and it's like, that's why he's so good at it, because he understands it inside out, back to front. He could teach a beginner how to do this, and they'd get it in a blink. So I think not everyone has that in them. Some people are fighters, some people are teachers, and some people are both. And I love teaching as well, but right now, if you want to be the best at something, you have to dive in, eggs in one basket, and it's all or nothing. So for me right now, nothing on my mind other than fighting and winning. And then maybe we'll see what happens after that. Maybe I'll turn into one of those fat martial arts Krav Maga teachers or something after my career. Start seminars everywhere. Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Well, one other thing I wanted to ask you about, Kiefer, I know you said that you try and keep your personal life separate from the things that you talk about as a fighter, but that week in February before that Bellator event, your son arrived that week, and I guess it was impossible that week to separate the two things.
It's the best week of my life, yeah. On Tuesday, my son was born, I swear to God, best day of my life, yeah. my son and my daughter are everything to me. My family is everything to me. And then 2 big wins in 1 week. Another win tonight, my hand raised. More money in the bank. I get to go home to my son tonight, spend some time with him, and then really, I feel like I haven't even seen him or met him yet.
Crosbie is the man. He understands what we've all been through. So he's going to say, all right, I'm going to come out there and I'm going to scrap for all the boys. And he scraps for all of us. And that's it at the end of the day.
Mate, literally, a year ago, I was on €144 a week on the social welfare. Literally, a year ago. And then I saw him at Bellator and my life changed. Here I am now making serious bread, feeding my family, looking after everybody the way I wanted to do this my whole life.
Goes in there, gives it all he can, man. Even if he's losing, makes a comeback, gets that right cross in, gets close to the ground, all the rest of it. He's a fighter that every fighter wants to be. That's why I love Crosbie.
I'm the big name. They fight me, they're fighting a big name. Everyone keeps saying, oh, do you want a big name? They fight me, they're fighting the big name. Listen to this crowd, mate. Listen to what I can do. Nobody does this. Nobody. I've been all over the place with this sport. Nobody blows the roof off the place like this. I'm the big name here. That bloke should thank me to fight me. Do you know what I'm saying? So, whatever. They're here to see me.
How crazy were those few days?
That was the maddest week of my life. You know, even in the moment of it, I just kind of got through it. I just had to stay soldier focused, you know, emotionless, task at hand, fighting. You know, I had to get the fight out of the way. Looking back now, even people talking to me now about it, they're like, you're mad. How did you do that? And I don't know how I got through it, to be honest. You know, even before that fight, I was very sick as well. I got a bad chest infection and a bad flu the week before he was born as well. So I was actually battling that. I was on antibiotics going into that fight. I was very sick. So before he was even born, I had way worse. I was like dying. And this is before all the COVID. If the COVID happened back then, I would have diagnosed myself with it.
Yeah.
But I was just very sick. And I was ran down. And obviously with him coming and then cutting weight and then all selling tickets, the media obligations, it was just such a crazy whirlwind of a week that and then he was born on the Tuesday. I didn't get out till the Wednesday. I had media that day and then cutting weight at the make weight on the Friday. It was again, that was me on a bad day. That was me on a tough week. That was me on a hard day. And I still went in, focused, co-main event, got the job done, 3 rounds handy. The next one, there's nothing in my way now. No distraction. No babies on the way, hopefully. And I'm just going to go in there and enjoy the week, enjoy myself, and light this man up. That's my plan. So happy days.
Because you've spoken about securing your family's future, that is the thing that motivates you. And all of a sudden, you've got these 2 worlds colliding in such clear focus that week.
Yeah, it was mad, man. Let's not do that again.
The other thing that you said there a couple of minutes ago that was really interesting is how you kind of need to focus on mixed martial arts, and you need to have just this ability to pour everything into this. And it almost seems in a way that the routine and having SBG and the gym over the last few years of your life has just been such a huge positive for you. What this year has done for a lot of people is taken away that routine, has taken away even the facility of a gym, has taken away a lot of sport for people. Was that a challenge that you had? Was it difficult during lockdown for you?
Yeah, well, it was at the start. Yeah, it was kind of shit. And then, you know, again, I'm not dead. I'm not sick. My family's not sick. There's way worse problems going on than my frustrations about the gym being closed. And I had to just, again, put it into perspective. And people love to, like, dwell on what's not going their way. Oh, the gym's closed. You know, everything is the worst in the world for them. And there's people out there that actually have real struggles. There's homeless people in this country living in tents. I walk by my own house and there's people living on the streets with no money, dying sick on the ground. And I haven't got the right to say, I'm frustrated because the gyms aren't open. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I have money in the bank, I have a roof over my head. I mean, yeah, okay, it is what it is. Stay safe, you know what I mean? Stay healthy, keep focused. I got a bike for my birthday, a professional racer bike, start cycling, start running more, you know what I mean, going to the park and doing longer shadow boxing rounds, doing yoga. I was doing shit I could do. And then when all this kind of blew over a little bit, back to the gym, I was back to the drawing board. But I missed out on a fight in May. That's the only thing that was kind of like broke the momentum. I was supposed to fight in May in Sweden, and obviously that got pulled with the whole quarantine thing. So it is what it is in the past now. Hopefully we're over the worst of it. It seems to be going backwards again, but in my mind, it's going forward. I'm not buying into the bullshit. Do you know what I mean? I'm going forward, and again, once we all just follow the rules, you know, I like the whole social distancing thing. I'm not a big people person anyway. Stay the away from me. I'm happy enough if people just stay away from me anyway. Just leave me alone and let me do my thing. But I don't know. Like, I mean, it was a bit shit at the start, but we're all good now, I think.
Yeah.
We're all good now, hopefully.
I'd say it probably didn't take too long to get back up to speed either. Like, did you have a good training from home regime?
Yeah, I just came up with a bit of a structure. As I said, cycling more so. You know what I mean? Start doing long stints on the bike, like 60 Ks and all, and they were good and enjoyable. Start swimming in the sea, start doing that a lot more. You know, reading up on benefits of that, and just start changing it up. And but again, once the gym was back open, it was like the appreciation was crazy, and not even for me, for everyone. I could see it on the mat. The energy was great. You know what I mean? Everyone was buzzing to be back training in the gym, and it was great. The doors opened again. We could see John back in the gym and all the boys back grappling and stuff. It was good energy. Do you know what I mean? So, but as I said, that's in the past now. Next week, I get to go and put hands on a man. So that's my mindset right now.
Well, let's get your prediction for this then, Charlie Leary. It's going to be live on Virgin Media, so there's going to be a good television audience for this. What are we going to see?
Yeah. You're going to see me 2.0. You know, it's all about me. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's tuning in to see me taking it to the next level. Me displaying beautiful martial arts and great technique. And that's, I mean, predictions is one thing, but every time I predict the fight, it normally goes a different way. So it's very hard to predict the mixed martial arts fight because it's so crazy. But there's no doubt in my mind I'll get my hand raised. How? I don't know, but I have options. That's the big thing here. I have options and he's limited. You know, I know he's going to try just knock me out with his hands and that's it. Maybe grab a hold of me and pin me to the fence to tire me out or something like they all do. But I've so many options. I could sit down on my arse and roll for, you know, a leg lock and pull it off. If I really wanted to, I could, you know what I mean? I could Imanari roll him, roll to a leg lock, come up on top, crush the hips, take the back. I can do it all. So, or I could just dance around, pick them apart, or bite down and go forward. So, who knows what's going to happen? But expect fireworks in this fight. It's going to be a serious fight, and every fight I'm in is a serious fight. Let's be honest. Yeah. You know what I mean? Every fight I'm in is exciting. So, I can't wait to just go in and do it again, dance under them lights.
And then what I'm hearing today is that Miles Jury after that better watch out.
100%. They all better watch out, mate. There's a new big dog in town.
It's going to be a great night. It's Saturday, October the 3rd. There's actually just one more question that's actually just come into my mind, Kiefer, because you've kind of touched on it there. We were talking to Kelly Harrington. We've been talking to Michael Dara-McCauley over the last couple of weeks and how they're doing a lot of work around the Dublin 1 area. And you mentioned there during the piece how you've come from rock bottom to make a really good mixed martial arts career for yourself. If you could go back and talk to yourself at rock bottom, what would you say about where you are and how you managed to achieve that and how that path managed to turn for you?
I'm actually from Dublin 7, but Dublin 1's also the inner city. But yeah, I'm from Dublin 7, down near Smithfield. But I would grab myself by the scruff of the neck and I would give myself a slap. And I would say, snap out of it. Your life's not that bad. I would tell myself to break away from the people that are bad for you in your life. And don't be afraid to do your own thing. You know what I mean? So I'm a big believer in that your circle can define you. And who you're surrounded by, who you're listening to, who you're sharing ideas with, who you're texting, who you're watching, it rubs off on your mentality and it rubs off on your lifestyle. So if you're hanging around with a bunch of scumbags, you're probably going to be a scumbag. If you're hanging around with a bunch of goal-driven, successful, hard-working people that are, you know, trying to better their lives, well, then you're going to do that too. So that's what I do. I just broke away from everyone in my life, isolated myself. You know, look who I'm surrounded by. I'm surrounded by champions every day. All my best mates, all my closest friends are killers. They're champions. They're beasts. They're hard-working martial artists. And it's no coincidence why we're all climbing the ladder together and winning and doing well. So I'm a big believer in that. You know, watch your circle. Have a good look around at who you're surrounded by, who you're texting, what they're saying to you. Are they good for your life or not? And that's a big thing in life. You know what I mean? Your circle defines you, and make sure it's a positive, good energy circle. That's a big, big thing. And just watch your back the whole time. Do you know what I mean?
My apologies. I didn't know it was Dublin 7. That's my bad. I got those mixed up.
It's all good. City centre, so it's all good.
Listen, Kiefer, we wish you all the very best on October 3rd. It's going to be a great fight and hopefully chat to you again afterwards. Best of luck, man.
Yes, man. Let's do it.
OTB AM.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.